Chapter 21. Hook Kiss. Can corals yield fruits? The idea popped up in Han Fei's head but was immediately disapproved. Han Fei swam closer and realized that something was not right. How could there be so many bones? Yes, there were bones everywhere. Some were fish, some were turtles, and some were human. More importantly, the human bones did not come from one person. When he looked at the fruit on the crimson tree, Han Fei was shocked that data appeared. Less than name greater than purple bamboo. Less than level greater than 10. Less than quality greater than ultra. Less than spiritual energy greater than. Less than effect greater than. Less than collectible greater than purple bamboo fruit. Less than absorbable greater than. Purple bamboo fruit. Han Fei immediately remembered the crimson sea fruit that Fang Zi gave to the village leader. He didn't see the fruit clearly, but he saw how ecstatic the village leader was. Fortunately, he had met another marvelous fruit. He wondered how it was compared to the crimson sea fruit. Wait, Han Fei calmed himself down. The bones indicated great danger. Why were those people and animals dead? Han Fei immediately backed off. He saw the knife of a blade fish in the corals. It must belong to the deceased. Other than the knife, Han Fei also noticed some fishing poles and iron rods. Seeing the iron rod, Han Fei immediately drew his fishing pole. The coral rod was for self-defense, but in a battle, it would definitely be too rough and unwieldy. The iron rod, on the other hand, would be much better. Hiu. Han Fei cast the hook out. He caught the iron rod and even tied the line on the rod. That was the difference between a divine fishing art and a regular fishing art. Regular fishing arts were special tricks that aimed to capture fish. Hook Kiss, on the other hand, could integrate the hook, the line, and the fishing pole and be applied to battles. Han Fei had practiced it before but wasn't very familiar with it yet. One of his purposes for the trip was to practice Hook Kiss. The effect of the art amazed him. Han Fei dragged the iron rod as well as the blade fish's knife to him. Although there were human bones, he didn't see any weapons. He saw several fishing poles, but they were iron ones at best. It would be a burden to carry them. A turtle shell. The Wang family and the tigers fought over a shell. That's certainly good stuff. Casting the hook and pulling, Han Fei changed his face. It weighed more than 50 kilograms. Han Fei's heart was bleeding. The shell was too heavy for him to carry to the surface of the ocean. Han Fei did not dwell on it. He abandoned the shell and looked at the purple bamboo. Han Fei was tempted. The purple bamboo was a natural material for a rod. Han Fei wondered if he should try to grab it. But what if he did grab it? Would there be any trouble? For Han Fei, taking risks was not unusual. He made up his mind to take it. Han Fei cast the hook at the purple bamboo fruit quickly. His heart raced as the hook approached his target. Hiu. The hook reached the fruit, but at exactly the same moment, Han Fei felt that the corals trembled, and a gigantic head extended out of a hole. Less than name greater than sea dragon. Less than level greater than 18. Less than quality greater than rare. Less than spiritual energy greater than. Less than effect greater than. Less than collectible greater than. Less than absorbable greater than. TCH. Damn it, a sea dragon. A level 18 rare monster. I'm so FCKED. The sea dragon was not a real dragon but one of the strongest sea snakes. As a top-tier demonic snake, it shouldn't be here at all. Han Fei had no doubt that he was no match for the creature. He immediately tried to retreat the line and run, but the fruit was not pulled to him although the line had been straightened. Seeing that it was possible to take it, Han Fei immediately gave up. He shook the fishing pole and transmitted his power from the fishing pole to the hook. The hook instantly broke free. Han Fei cast it out again, not at the purple bamboo fruit but at another cluster of corals dozens of meters away. The sea dragon dashed out and stared at him with bloodshot eyes, as if it were interested in the small creature that was trying to steal its treasure. Right after the sea snake came at him, Han Fei pulled the hook heavily and swooshed to the other cluster of corals. A strange scene happened in the corals. Han Fei cast his hook now and then, allowing him to leap from one place to another quickly, but whenever he left a place, the corals behind him would be crushed by a giant head. Han Fei cried, "Brother, I did not intend to steal your stuff. Can we talk nicely? I'm doomed. It's a dead end." There were no corals ahead. He had reached where he started his exploration. Taking a deep breath, Han Fei quickly swam to the sea anemones. However, the sea dragon was much faster than him. Seeing that it was going to bite him, Han Fei gritted his teeth and flew at the ghost blade clam whose mouth was wide open. Crack! The noise of closing teeth came into Han Fei's ears. This place was too dangerous. The ghost blade clam's mouth was aimed at Han Fei, as if it were waiting for Han Fei to send himself over. The moment Han Fei approached it, he sprang and jumped over the ghost blade clam. In the next second, an enormous head bumped into the ghost blade clam. The ghost blade clam would have been rendered speechless if it was intelligent. How can there be such a huge head? I can't swallow it at all. Sharp teeth emerged and bit down, only to pierce into the sea dragon's flesh. Who? The sea dragon roared and crashed into a rock. Clang! After an ear-splitting explosion, the ghost blade clam fell from the sea dragon. If Han Fei had the time to look back, he would see that half of the clam's teeth were gone and there was a hole on its shell. It was basically dead. A green crab was watching, holding its pincers. Having no time to think, Han Fei cast the hook to the crab and threw it to the sea dragon. The half-meter-long crab was chewed into pieces after a bite, but one of its pincers left a wound on the sea dragon's mouth. Han Fei was anxious. What could he do if it didn't let go of him? He couldn't defeat it. Seeing the tentacles of the sea anemones that were floating in the water, Han Fei gritted his teeth. He cast the hook to one of the tentacles. The next moment, all the tentacles began to float. He had threats both ahead and behind. Han Fei hurled himself to the sea anemones, where thousands of tentacles were waiting. He poured all his spiritual energy into his iron rod and slashed. Immediately, the water surged and pushed the tentacles to one side. Exceeding his expectations, a bloody mouth enveloped him right before he fell into the sea anemones. I'm doomed. Han Fei could see nothing but darkness. He had been devoured. The good news was that the coral rod was stuck in the mouth of the sea dragon. As for the iron rod, he had lost it earlier. Damn it, this is so tight. Han Fei couldn't move at all. The muscles of the sea dragon were constricting and moving randomly. Han Fei hadn't been swallowed into the stomach yet, but who knew what would happen next? He tried to hold the blade fish's knife and cut whatever he could reach. Bam, bam, bam. The sea dragon struggled hard. After only an instant, thousands of holes appeared on its body. Han Fei wasn't any better. Some tentacles pierced through the sea dragon and entered his body. Demon purification pot, absorb now. Han Fei thought he was done. There was no telling if the demon purification pot worked. But the muscles that gripped him gradually relaxed. Die. Han Fei struggled hard. His body was so sore that he thought his feet had rotted into bones. When he thought of that, Han Fei struggled and waved his dagger crazily. A piece of meat almost fell into his mouth. Phew, this is bitter. Han Fei had an idea. A snake gallbladder. The sea dragon struggled more and more weakly. Under the dual attack of the tentacles of the sea anemones and the demon purification pot, it was impossible for the sea dragon to flee. It suddenly stopped jerking. A glowing shadow cut the skin and jumped out of the creature. Han Fei was covered in blood, but he dared not be careless and cast the hook out the moment he left the body. He swooshed away instantly. Then, the place where he was at was filled by tentacles. Han Fei's heart pounded. Dozens of holes had been left on his body despite the protection of spiritual energy. In the ocean, blood could be very horrible. Are you still hunting me? Are you still biting me? Blood was surging out. Han Fei saw countless fish swimming over and fled quickly. The sea dragon, on the other hand, was drowned by tentacles and fish. Chapter 22. Evolution of the Demon Purification Pot. One couldn't acquire any treasure without taking risks. Han Fei returned to the ghost blade clam and took the pearl away. He then came to the purple bamboo in excitement and plucked it out. It was more like a straight stick than a plant. It was not as difficult to remove as Han Fei thought. He poured spiritual energy into his hands and used all his strength. Eventually, he was able to get it out. The purple bamboo fruit fell the moment he plucked the bamboo. Han Fei felt intoxicated. The intense fragrance of the fruit was attached to his skin through water and leaked into his body, making him sense the aroma. However, Han Fei was too panicked to enjoy it. The smell was too intense even for him. What about other undersea fish? Besides, he had blood all over him. He already saw dozens of green crabs not far away. Gouda. Han Fei stuffed the fruit into his mouth and intended to flee. However, the moment the purple bamboo fruit entered his body, Han Fei felt like he was being boiled. His skin reddened, and he couldn't possibly feel any hotter. The scorching energy caused the calabash on his wrist to glow. A tremendous amount of energy escaped into his wrist. Han Fei's muscles tightened. He could almost hear the sound of his blood pumping. Han Fei couldn't move, but he saw hundreds of green crabs raising their pincers at him. Then, with a crisp sound, Han Fei felt that he had a breakthrough, and his body's condition was better. The green crabs were still densely packed at this moment. Han Fei was scared. The energy in his body was still on a rampage. Some entered his wrist, and some flowed through his body. Although Han Fei was not in his best state, he could at least move now. Having no time to think, he cast his hook at several big black fish dozens of meters above him. The fish fled under the stimulation, dragging Han Fei upward. After a brief while, the fish turned around and crashed into Han Fei, as if it realized that it couldn't escape. Shoot! Bam! Han Fei almost threw up because of the collision. He couldn't hold his breath anymore. I have to breathe in fresh air now. Han Fei struggled to hug the big black fish. He accidentally laid his hands on the scales, and his fingers were cut. Go up! Han Fei stabbed his dagger into the fish's head. The black fish fled again at the pain, but since its head was controlled by Han Fei, it could only swim upward. Han Fei looked back, only to see all kinds of fish chasing after him. He almost peed himself. The black fish was very fast. After only a minute, it leapt out of the water. Han Fei took a big breath of air. Then, he saw his boat hundreds of meters away, undamaged. Hiya! Hiya! With a dagger on its head, the black fish could not do anything except rush in the direction that Han Fei desired. Hurry! Hurry! A huge mouth bit his calf. Ouch! Han Fei cried miserably. Having no time to knock the attacker off, he focused all his attention on reining in the black fish. When he was 100 meters away from the boat, Han Fei cast the hook to the boat and finally pulled himself onto it. Bam! 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 He struck a dozen times and killed the fish that had been biting him. He then threw the fish away. Hoo! Having no time to bother the blood on his calf, Han Fei lied on the boat with his limbs stretched out. That was too close. He felt it was a miracle that he survived the adventure. Several minutes later, Han Fei sat up in excitement. He felt that his body was full of power. Han Fei looked at his wrist. The calabash was still blinking, but nothing new was revealed. He checked the data. Owner: Han Fei. Level: 5 Intermediate Fisher. Spiritual Energy: 682, 159. Spiritual Heritage: Level 1, High Quality Upgradable. Main Art: Void Fishing, Chapter 1. Hook Kiss Mortal Level, Divine Quality. Stunned, Han Fei took a deep breath. Have I lost 800 points of spiritual energy? He gasped loudly. If he had run out of spiritual energy, he would have been dead. Also, he just had a purple bamboo fruit that must have contained tremendous spiritual energy, yet he only had less than 700 points of spiritual energy left. Han Fei weighed the purple bamboo in his hand and wondered how good it was compared to the bamboo rod he previously used. Suddenly, Han Fei felt an excruciating pain in his palm. He opened his hand, only to be shocked. A green calabash was growing out of his body from his palm. It was delicate and slightly smaller than an apple, with a fresh leaf on top. A real calabash. Han Fei's eyes widened. How did the calabash grow out? He snapped it, only to discover that the calabash seemed to have been stuck to his hand. He put the calabash before his eyes and observed it. Suddenly, it flashed, and Han Fei found himself in a dark void surrounded by countless sophisticated characters. Right before his eyes, there were 2 vertical lines. Han Fei couldn't understand the characters, but he did recognize the 2 lines. Refining. Forge the universe. Refining was the most brilliant and eye-catching world. Forge the universe, in comparison, was rather lackluster. Other than them, Han Fei could see more words, but they were unorganized and beyond recognition. Refining. Han Fei suddenly had an epiphany. He needed 2,000 points of spiritual energy to activate the function. Han Fei was relieved. 2,000 points was not too far-fetched for him. Then, Han Fei looked at Forge the Universe. If refining meant building weapons, what did Forge the Universe mean? Damn it, 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Are you robbing me? It meant more than 200 bowls of swallowed spirit soup. Han Fei was lost for words. He had been thrilled about the demon purification pot's change after absorbing the energy of the purple bamboo fruit, but it was still demanding spiritual energy. Since he did not have enough spiritual energy, Han Fei decided to ignore it. When he opened his eyes, the calabash was already gone, but when he thought about it, it emerged again. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Interesting. This must be an artifact. I have to keep the secret well. Han Fei finally looked at the big yellow fish next to him. Less than name greater than young iron-head fish. Less than level greater than 8. Less than quality greater than regular. Less than spiritual energy greater than 42 points. Less than effect greater than it can increase one's physical strength if it's eaten over a long period of time. Less than collectible greater than brains of the iron-head fish, which can accelerate the absorption of spiritual energy. Less than absorbable greater than an iron-head fish. Am I in a level 1 fishery? Iron-head fish usually appeared in level 1 fisheries. They were dangerous and fond of crashing into people or boats. However, this iron-head fish was much smaller than what he saw before. Under normal circumstances, one's bones would be broken after being knocked into by this fish. Han Fei remembered the crash in the ocean, which nearly squeezed his internal organs out. He tapped the fish's head with the purple bamboo. Clang! Han Fei tapped it again with greater strength and was finally relieved after the fish head collapsed. It was indeed tough. If it were an adult, he probably would have been dead. Judging from the look of it, he was still in the general fishery. Han Fei had been badly wounded, mostly by the gastric acids of the sea dragon. All his wounds were bleeding heavily. Is it healing? Han Fei checked the bite on his calf, only to discover that the wound was much smaller. After another moment, the wound was even smaller, and the corrupted flesh was recuperating. Is it because of the gallbladder? Or the purple bamboo fruit? After several minutes, Han Fei calmed down and felt that his senses were sharper. His body was also very comfortable. An hour later, Han Fei stood up and warmed himself up, only to realize that his wounds had been half healed. With this speed of recovery, he would return to peak condition in another 2 hours. However, Han Fei became grim the next second. He had lost the coral rod, the iron rod, the turtle shell, and the sea dragon skin. He did have the pearl that he collected from the ghost blade clam. Should he eat it to facilitate his recovery? I'd better keep it for now. I should take it when my body is in better shape. Han Fei recalled the treasures at the bottom of the ocean. The clams, the green crabs, the nail conchs, the corals. When I reach higher levels, I'll definitely go down there again after accumulating several thousand points of spiritual energy. If others learned of his plan, they would think him a lunatic. Even the Grand Fishing Master did not have thousands of points of spiritual energy. Han Fei did not know that the bones he saw at the bottom of the ocean were all fishing masters. They died simply because their spiritual energy ran out. At the bottom of the ocean, even a snakebelt could kill a fishing master who did not have spiritual energy. After his wounds were healed, Han Fei looked around, only to see no boats around. There were only some birds in the sky. I'll definitely demand an explanation from the port. How could they distribute a faulty boat to me? However, the journey did have a silver lining. Not only had he made a breakthrough, he also acquired a purple bamboo, which was an ultimate plant. After a brief rest, Han Fei began to fish and practice hook kiss again. It was indeed an amazing art that could turn him into Spider-Man at the bottom of the ocean. Chapter 23. Fight the Tentacle Lobster. Hook kiss was much more powerful than immobilization. Han Fei had studied it before. Immobilization could make people absolutely calm and steady before their spiritual energy was transmitted to the fishing line and hook. It could also weaken the line and hook's threat for fish. However, the greatest disadvantage of immobilization was that it would take a long time, and the fish might break off the hook at any moment. Hook kiss, in comparison, was much more powerful. As long as one knew a fish's location, they would be able to cast the hook there as fast as a snakebelt. Putong. Han Fei tossed a big yellow fish into the fish cabin. He mumbled, "Wait, when I cast the hook, I sense the waves in the water down below. I think I can save some spiritual energy if I cast the hook there." Putong. Han Fei tossed a seventh yellow fish into the fish cabin. The spiritual energy cost has been reduced by 1 point. Haha, I'm a genius. Han Fei was very excited. The reduction might be insignificant, but as he fished more and more, he would be able to save a lot of spiritual energy. After half a day, Han Fei used up 1 box of bait and filled one of the cabins with almost 50 yellow fish. 30 of them were absorbed by him. Seeing that his spiritual energy had been restored to 842 points, Han Fei stopped absorbing, or he wouldn't be able to pay his fish tax. "No, I can't catch yellow fish anymore. There's only 1 box of green bait. Since it's already night, I can consider sinking the hook 3 meters deep." He caught a green turtle at first, which threw random stones at him. Han Fei tried to block them, but because he was not skilled enough, he was hit multiple times, and his face was pale. If someone else observed him, they would have been shocked that he resisted the green turtle with his body instead of spiritual energy. Han Fei knocked out the green turtle and mumbled, "This is not profitable. I spent 6 points of spiritual energy on hook kiss and had to use another 8 to block the stones. I can only earn the same amount of spiritual energy by absorbing the green turtle with the demon purification pot. I should try catching blade fish instead." Han Fei cast his hook more than 5 meters deep. He did not know what was out there, but anything would be fine as long as it was not a tentacle lobster. Although the snake belt was fast, he could kill it by covering his body with spiritual energy. The tentacle lobster, on the other hand, was much more destructive. He would rather not encounter one. The blade fish was much more difficult to catch than the green turtle was, or its knife couldn't have been as precious. The blade fish took the bait much less frequently. Also, since the blade fish had only 1 chance to throw its knife after it left the water, the attack could be brutal, and the odds were slim that one could obtain the knife. Last time, Han Fei was almost chopped by a knife. He would have been dead if the knife hadn't deviated by chance. It was the 7th time that Han Fei cast the hook. Han Fei sensed that a knife was passing the space down before, but he could not use hook kiss randomly in case the blade fish cut the fishing line. Waiting for the best moment, Han Fei shook the fishing line like a whip. "Get up!" Han Fei dragged it hard, and a dark shadow broke out of the water. Hiu! A knife darted at him like cold lightning. Han Fei was long prepared for it. The purple bamboo in his hand glowed and smashed at the knife. Clang! The knife pierced through the deck into the cabin. Han Fei smashed the bamboo at the blade fish's head. The blade fish was vulnerable without its knife and was killed instantly. This is still not a good deal. The fishing cost 6 points of spiritual energy, the attack cost 10, but the blade fish can only give me no more than 20 points of spiritual energy. However, its knife can be traded for 50 low-quality pearls, that's not bad. As night fell, Han Fei caught 3 blade fish and 3 green turtles. Half of the box of baits had been used. When he was about to fish again, he heard squeaking sounds from underneath the boat. Han Fei immediately had goosebumps all over his body. He knew perfectly that it was a tentacle lobster. Without any hesitation, Han Fei crawled into a fish cabin. Such lobsters were not very strong but could be very tricky. Their tentacles could attack incessantly like whips. Han Fei was very certain that he would waste a lot of spiritual energy even if he could catch a tentacle lobster. That wouldn't be a fair deal at all. He thought that the lobster would go, but he heard it crawling to one side of the boat from the bottom. "Are you coming aboard?" Han Fei was lost for words. Had it gotten on the boat even though he didn't try to catch it? Soon, Han Fei realized that the tentacle lobster had gotten on the boat and was crawling on the deck. "Are you kidding me? I'm the hunter here, but I'm hiding in the cabin and you're on the deck." Soon, the tentacle lobster crawled over his head and made obscure noises. Why do I feel that it's eating? Han Fei waited for a while, but the sound continued. A moment later, Han Fei heard the sound of fish being picked up from the cabin next door. Han Fei's face changed greatly. Was it stealing his fish? He couldn't have looked more awful. The green turtles and the blade fish were kept in that cabin. Even Han Fei hadn't absorbed any of them yet, but the tentacle lobster was stealing them. Damn it, you're asking to be killed. Han Fei lifted the cover of the cabin and jumped out, unable to hold back any longer. Do you know how difficult it was for me to catch those fish? The tentacle lobster, caught unprepared, backed 3 meters away. The lobster was more than 2 meters long, with 2 tentacles even longer than its body. More importantly, there were another 2 tentacles above them. Han Fei observed carefully, only to discover that it was another lobster, except that it was of a much smaller size. Han Fei cried, "There are 2 of you." He glanced at them, and information popped up. Less than name greater than tentacle lobster. Less than level greater than 8. Less than quality greater than regular. Less than spiritual energy greater than 52 points. Less than effect greater than the succulent meat of the lobster can increase spiritual power. Less than collectible greater than long tentacles, which can be built into whips. Less than absorbable greater than. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. He hurried to cover himself and the purple bamboo with spiritual energy. Get off. Put my spiritual energy. No, put my fish down. Han Fei saw that the smaller tentacle lobster was biting a half-meter-long blade fish. Sensing the threat from Han Fei, the bigger tentacle lobster was infuriated and swept its tentacles. Ha! The tentacles whipped the wall of the boat. Han Fei leapt back and smashed the purple bamboo down. This is outrageous. You're bandits. The purple bamboo was wrapped up in the tentacles, and the smaller lobster on top seemed interested in whipping him, too. Spiritual energy emerged from the purple bamboo, allowing him to break free from the tentacles. When the smaller tentacle lobster whipped him, Han Fei swept his bamboo and cut the tentacles with his dagger. Ya! A tentacle was cut apart. Han Fei took the opportunity to jump on the smaller lobster's back. Bam! 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 Not giving the enemy another chance to attack, he struck the smaller tentacle lobster 3 times in a row, hitting it into smithereens. Ya! Ya! Han Fei rolled to the deck quickly, but a tentacle was still whipped at him. Hiss! Han Fei sensed burning pain on his back. He almost passed out under the agony. Sweep! Han Fei wielded his purple bamboo and smashed at the lobsters again. Bam! One of the lobster's eyes was blown up. It began slapping its tentacles randomly under the pain. Han Fei seized the opportunity to hit the lobster from its back. You want to eat my fish? You want to eat my fish? Seeing another tentacle come at him, Han Fei drew his remaining 4 daggers and threw them. Soon, another tentacle on the bigger lobster was broken. It struggled and tried to jump into the ocean, but how could Han Fei give it the chance? He jumped again and smashed the lobster's head until it was deformed. Han Fei cursed at the tentacle lobsters after they had stopped moving. You came to steal my fish with your son. You think you can steal my fish so easily? Chapter 24. Another fish tied. Han Fei felt that his back was itchy. When he touched it, he discovered, to his surprise, that his wound was already scabbing. This doesn't make sense. I was whipped just now, and the wound is so small. Han Fei touched it, but the wound was gone after only 1 moment. Hiss! Han Fei remembered the purple bamboo fruit and the dragon gallbladder. One of them must still be effective. Was the advanced healing continuous? After the incident with the tentacle lobsters, Han Fei stopped fishing. He absorbed the remainder of the blade fish as well as the smaller tentacle lobster whose head had been blown up. To Han Fei's surprise, the smaller tentacle lobster provided 36 points of spiritual energy, which equaled what half a bowl of swallowed spirit soup could offer. The higher level a creature is, the more spiritual energy it will contain. However, after calculation, Han Fei realized that he still suffered a loss. Filling his body with spiritual energy was a major cost in battle. He had also consumed a lot of spiritual energy to launch attacks. Han Fei was upset. Life for an intermediate fisher on the ocean was too hard. He would rather spend all his time in school fighting other people. It remains to be seen whether or not I can return. I should focus on cultivation. The view at night on the ocean was still splendid with the 3 moons, but it was creepily quiet. The meat of the lobsters were dug out and taken as food. Han Fei sat cross-legged on the deck and started his cultivation. The moment he started, Han Fei sensed a stream of spiritual energy entering his body. Most was absorbed by the calabash, but it was still much more than when he was at home. Again. It seems that cultivating against the moons is more effective. Han Fei felt that he had found a great secret. Back on the island, while void fishing was much more effective than soul fishing, the difference wasn't too huge. However, the effect of void fishing on the ocean with moonlight was significantly better than that on the island. He couldn't feel the difference when he was a level 2 fisher last time, but right now, with infinite spiritual energy surging into his body, he realized how magnificent the art was. It deserves to be called the best generic art. One day of cultivation under such intensity equals other people's months of cultivation. Same as last time, when Han Fei started his cultivation, waves spread out on the surface of the ocean. Fish jumped up now and then. Perhaps because the spiritual energy Han Fei attracted was powerful but not powerful enough, the fish were gathered around him but did not go rampant. A white fish jumped on the boat and slapped the deck in front of Han Fei. Voila! A yellow fish landed at Han Fei's side, slapping the deck. Another 2 white fish jumped on Han Fei's face. Han Fei stopped his cultivation furiously. Can't you just stay in the water instead of slapping my face? He kicked the fish into the cabin, but the moment he stopped the flow of his spiritual energy, dozens of fish began to hop. Han Fei approached the edge of the boat, only to discover that green turtles and blade fish were swimming about aggressively. After a few seconds, the ocean seemed to be boiling. Han Fei was so scared that he sat down and resumed his cultivation. When his cultivation started again, the turmoil died down. Han Fei finally discovered that those fish were making use of the spiritual energy that he attracted for his cultivation. He felt that such a way of cultivation was truly dangerous. More and more fish were gathered here. Whenever Han Fei stopped, a riot seemed to happen. He was too scared to stop. Finally, the moons fell, and the first light of the morning glowed from the horizon. Same as last time, Han Fei trembled because of the excruciating pain in his wrist. The calabash radiated and was ignited for 3 seconds. Han Fei had to stop his cultivation after his hand was set on fire. This time, Han Fei was smart enough to jump into one of the cabins and close it. As expected, thousands of fish jumped and splashed water in the next moment. Blade fish, green turtles, tentacle lobsters, snakebelts, yellow fish. There was even a meat tortoise, except that it was too heavy to jump on the boat. The ocean was dyed red by blood for a moment. Too many big fish were falling on the deck. Some of the green turtles were so heavy that the boat was shaking and creaking. Han Fei even suspected that the boat would fall apart. Han Fei was certain that he would be skinned by the fish if he were to go out at this moment. Bam! Bam! After several minutes, the noises were finally over. Han Fei finally opened the cabin carefully. He saw a mountain of broken bodies on the deck. Some living fish were still struggling and catching their last breath. Han Fei looked at the fish in delight. They were not broken bodies but spiritual energy in his eyes. The refining function in his demon purification pot required 2,000 points of spiritual energy, and Forge the Universe required 10,000. He could easily activate them after spending half a month on the ocean. That being said, Han Fei still investigated all the fish cabins carefully. He didn't find any snakebelts, but he did find a black ball, to his surprise. The black ball was rolling inside a fish cabin. Less than name greater than ball fish. Less than level greater than 10. Less than quality greater than regular. Less than spiritual energy greater than 290 points. Less than effect greater than the heart of the ball fish is as sweet as sugar and can increase the speed of recovery. Less than collectible greater than fish splinters, which can be used as a weapon. Less than absorbable greater than 290 points of spiritual energy. According to his memory, the ball fish were a special fish in the level 1 fishery. They were easy to catch, but they could shoot splinters in all directions when they were in danger. If they ran loose, new splinters would grow out in a couple of days. Few creatures wanted to mess with them. Most people would rather not catch them because they could turn those people into pincushions. More importantly, the fish did not have much meat. Their only advantage was their heart, that could increase the speed of recovery. Han Fei gasped aloud, "Have I come to a level 1 fishery?" He thought for a moment and decided to leave the ball fish alone for now. He closed the cabin and then absorbed the broken bodies crazily. An hour later, all the fish cabins were cleaned up except for those where the yellow fish and the ball fish were kept. Han Fei's spiritual energy increased to 2,584 points. This was certainly a fruitful trip. Han Fei thought for a moment and made up his mind to kill the ball fish so that he could try refining. He had 5 knives and a purple bamboo, and he'd better make the best use of them. Han Fei kicked the cover of the cabin and stepped back in a hurry. Next second, 3 black splinters were shot to the ceiling. So brutal. Han Fei extended his fishing pole and stirred the water. Then, black splinters darted to the ceiling non-stop. Han Fei said, "Hey, you're too silly. What can you do after you run out of splinters?" Han Fei stirred for a long time, until there were no splinters shooting out. He then stirred with the purple bamboo. After 5 minutes, another few splinters came out. Is that all? A few minutes later, Han Fei picked up a soft, slippery dark ball. Han Fei stabbed into it without hesitation. With its gas leaking out, the fish became a big skin after a few seconds. This thing can be made into a bag. Han Fei cut the heart of the ball fish. It was white and a little bit hard. Was it really worth 290 points of spiritual energy? He touched it and sensed spiritual energy flowing out. Naturally, Han Fei wasted no time throwing it into his mouth. It was better for him to take it than to give it to the demon purification pot. After he took it, Han Fei sensed that his spiritual energy was much higher. He checked it and found it to be 2,856 points. Han Fei was rather surprised. Shouldn't there be more since he had taken it orally? Was it because the ball fish had lost all the splinters? That must be the reason. Han Fei did not know that the heart of a ball fish could be sold for 3 mid-quality pearls. If he had known, he would probably die before he took it. Besides, few people took the heart orally. If the heart was used as an ingredient to make drugs, its effect would be more than doubled. Chapter 25. As poor as can be. After clearing the last fish cabin, Han Fei had a spiritual energy storage of 3,241 points, which was enough for him to travel to the bottom of the ocean another 3 times. Of course, he couldn't be so lucky every time. The sea dragon, the ghost blade clam, and the sea anemones were all very formidable. Leaning against the broken controller, Han Fei studied the demon purification pot. Looking at the apple-sized calabash, Han Fei meditated. Activate. 2,000 points of spiritual energy immediately vanished. Han Fei sensed a hazy mist in his head. When the mist exploded, new understandings popped up in Han Fei's mind. There seemed to be a burning furnace in the void. Han Fei had the feeling that he could store anything in the calabash and put together amazing combinations. In the meantime, an idea came Han Fei's mind. Furnace of the universe. With the universe as the furnace and the spiritual energy as the fire, anything can be built into a weapon. Han Fei swallowed. With the universe as the furnace. That sounded rather impressive. However, when he thought of the introduction to void fishing, he calmed down. After his transmigration, he had learned to accept the unacceptable. Han Fei looked at the purple bamboo, the knives from the blade fish, the iron fishing pole, and his ragged clothes. Since he had 5 knives from the blade fish, he stored one of them in the furnace of universe. The moment the knife disappeared, he saw a hazy space in the calabash where the knife was floating. Forge. A fire rose immediately. Within a breath, a palm-sized dagger drifted out. So quickly, Han Fei opened his eyes and saw a dagger falling on his hand. Whoa! Han Fei was somewhat astounded. My half-meter-long knife was reduced into a small dagger. Han Fei picked up the knife. For some reason, he felt that the knife was suitable for him. Trying to test how good the small dagger was, he cut another knife with the dagger, only to widen his eyes. The knife had a huge dent on it. So good. Han Fei looked at the purple bamboo and decided to test it again. Ding! After a slight tap, Han Fei checked them carefully. Neither the purple bamboo nor the dagger was damaged. Han Fei was immediately reassured. The purple bamboo must be of a high level. He looked at the demon purification pot, only to be shocked. TCH. I have only 1,053 points left. It cost me 188 points. Han Fei hesitated. He was delighted at the result, but the cost was enormous. How much would the purple bamboo cost when a knife had cost so much? Gritting his teeth, He stored the purple bamboo in the furnace of universe and tossed the remaining knives in it. He needed a weapon, and he couldn't use his Xiaoyu's bamboo rod all the time. Han Fei took a deep breath. He still had a cabin of yellow fish. If the spiritual energy was not enough, he could still absorb several hundred points. Han Fei began forging and wondered what he would get in the end. After a moment, the calabash glowed, and a purple stick floated out. Han Fei felt greatly weakened, but he did not feel the urgent need to absorb spiritual energy. He was greatly relieved. After taking a closer look at the purple stick, Han Fei was immensely satisfied. It was silver on both ends and purple-red at the center. He realized that the two ends must be made of the knives, and the middle part was made of the purple bamboo. Purple bamboo rod, mortal level, mid-quality. Note: made with a 280-year-old purple bamboo and blade fish knives, it can launch sharp blade auras. Mortal level, mid-quality. Weapons are classified in different levels, too. It does make sense, on second thought. However, isn't the purple bamboo an ultimate treasure? Why is it mortal level, mid-quality now? Han Fei observed it carefully and weighed it. It was over 40 kilograms and could serve as a magnificent weapon. When Han Fei grasped the rod, he felt that he had used it for years. He tried wielding it. It was slightly heavy but very handy. Han Fei, delighted, practiced sweeping stick. The weapon rattled and radiated as he poured his spiritual energy into it. At this moment, the purple bamboo rod seemed to have turned into part of Han Fei's body. His limbs and his body could control and react to the rod precisely. After wielding it for an hour, Han Fei felt that he was more and more familiar with it. He now also understood the essence of sweeping stick. If He Xiaoyu were here, she would have been greatly surprised, because Han Fei's sweeping stick had reached a whole new level at this moment. This feels good. Han Fei stopped and fell on the ground after an exclamation. The world was swirling before him, and acids were surging from his stomach. He looked at the demon purification pot, only to smile bitterly. He had used up his spiritual energy after the practice. Owner: Han Fei. Level: 5 intermediate fisher. Spiritual energy: 0-159. Spiritual heritage: Level 1, high quality. Weapon: purple bamboo rod. Main art: void fishing. Chapter 1. Hook kiss, mortal level, divine quality. Seeing the number, Han Fei staggered to the cabin where yellow fish were kept and grabbed a yellow fish. A moment later, the whole cabin was cleared, and his spiritual energy returned to 144 points. Yes, a whole cabin of yellow fish only provided 144 points of spiritual energy for him. Han Fei felt like crying. He earned 3,000 points of spiritual energy by risking his life twice, but he had spent all of them in less than 2 minutes. He saw an enormous pit before him. The refining function alone had stripped him of his spiritual energy. What could forge the universe, which required 10,000 points of spiritual energy to be activated, bring him? Han Fei had a feeling that he needed to worry about spiritual energy all the time in the future. Other people spent several points of spiritual energy at a time, but he spent thousands of them each time, although he was only a fisher. How could he make ends meet? Han Fei sighed and smashed his rod at a corner of the boat to unleash his fury. However, it hit the controller of the boat accidentally, and the wooden cover on it was broken. Han Fei thought that he was doomed. The boat was damaged in the first place. Would he be demanded compensation for his strike? While Han Fei wondered if he should compensate, he saw a block on the controller that was cut by a knife instead of smashed by his rod. Han Fei examined it for a long time. Then, his face turned cold. The fault was not natural. Who wants to kill me? The first person he thought of was Hu Kun, but then he shook his head. Hu Kun indeed hated him, but such a little kid wasn't capable of this. Besides, the guy did not know when he left the island, nor could he sabotage a boat that belonged to the island. But who else could it be if not Hu Kun? Han Fei did not remember pissing off anyone else. Chapter 26. Rescue. After floating for another day, Han Fei used up his remaining bait and caught 9 yellow fish, 3 green turtles, and a blade fish. The ratio would have been unbelievable if he told it to anyone else. There were only 40 pieces of bait in each box, and most people could only catch 5 fish with them. It was unimaginable that Han Fei caught 13 fish, including a blade fish, with only half a box of bait. Actually, Han Fei only wasted the bait on the blade fish and the green turtles several times. None of the yellow fish was able to escape from his hook. It was night again. Han Fei couldn't fish anymore now that his bait was used up. He started his cultivation. Just like the previous times, he was surrounded by fish that jumped to his boat now and then. At dawn, he intensely absorbed spiritual energy again, which caused a riot. So, he had another boat of fish the next morning, although no special fish came to him. After leaving a cabin of fish as his tax, Han Fei increased his spiritual energy to 1,200 points. Han Fei dared not be extravagant again. Although he had 3 more knives, he dared not forge them again, or he would be bankrupt. It was Han Fei's 3rd day on the ocean. There was still nobody around. He did not know where he was at all. On the 4th day, Han Fei's boat was already ragged after the 3 fish tides. One of the fish cabins had even been broken by a green turtle. 2 giant holes were left on one side of the boat, too. Han Fei was bailing out the water that came in through the holes at this moment. He knew that the boat couldn't survive the 5th fish tide. It was now shaking and could fall apart at any moment. In the afternoon of the 5th day, Han Fei was practicing the stick arts on the boat. After 3 days, he was even more familiar with the technique. In the meantime, he discovered that the progress of his arts required spiritual energy, too. However, since Han Fei had more than 2,000 points of spiritual energy at this moment, he couldn't care less about it. Tilting his head, he noticed quite a few boats far away. Immediately, he waved his rod and cried, "Hey! Hey, brother, sister, uncle, save me!" Han Fei roared at his loudest. ... 3rd young master, there's someone over there. Wang Baiyu said, "I see him. Interesting. I didn't expect to see someone fishing alone so far away. Let's go and take a look." Han Fei was excited to see them coming near. It was not easy to meet someone else on the boundless ocean. After the boats approached each other, Han Fei and Wang Baiyu looked at each other. It's you. Wang Baiyu was stunned. Wasn't it the boy he met on the road the other day? He only took a look at the boy because he was the one who broke the silence back then. Han Fei was also surprised. The 3rd young master of the Wang family, who had 5 boats protecting him on his fishing trip. Wang Baiyu squinted at Han Fei's boat, which was more like a shipwreck than a boat. He was surprised that it hadn't sunk yet. Wang Baiyu said, "Brother, you're quite a fisher. You came 800 kilometers away alone." Han Fei gasped. "Whoa, I've come that far." Wang Baiyu was slightly surprised. "Huh, you didn't know." Han Fei said with a helpless smile, "My boat malfunctioned and brought me to this place on its own. I've floated for 5 days on the ocean." "How many days?" Wang Baiyu's subordinates were stunned. He floated for 5 days alone without being killed. Few people in Heavenly Water Village could spend 5 days on the ocean alone and return alive. There were only 1 or 2 of them every year. Wang Baiyu immediately sensed that something was wrong. "Your boat malfunctioned. That's unlikely. Our boats are propelled by natural floating stones. They will never malfunction as long as the stones are there." Before he finished, Wang Baiyu saw Han Fei raise a stone at him. Han Fei said, "Are you talking about this?" Wang Baiyu's eyes widened. "Yes, but your floating stone is broken." "Huh, it was cut into halves, which resulted in the disruption of power transmission." "You were set up," Wang Baiyu declared without any hesitation. He then added, "To destroy a floating stone, you have to be at least a peak fisher, with a good weapon. Of course, it will be easier if you are a fishing master. However, most fishing masters have better things to do." Han Fei's heart grew heavy. At least a peak fisher. When did he piss off such an expert? Was the father of someone he beat up at school seeking revenge for his son? Suddenly, Han Fei had an idea. Was it the tigers? Li Hu did glare at him when he left the other day. Han Fei said, "Brother Wang, thank God you're here, or I would probably die in the ocean." Wang Baiyu was very interested in Han Fei. He smiled warmly. "How did you survive 5 days on the ocean?" He looked at Han Fei's boat again. It was a miracle that such a pile of wood did not fall apart. Han Fei heaved a sigh. It's a long story. The ocean is indeed horrifying. I encountered a fish tide that almost crumbled my boat. I would have been killed if I hadn't hidden in the fish cabin. A fish tide. Wang Baiyu's subordinates grew solemn. Another fish tide had happened. Did it mean that a crisis was going on in the general fishery? Han Fei naturally wouldn't tell them that it was he who caused the fish tide. Wang Baiyu observed Han Fei and thought that a man with a blade fish knife and an iron fishing pole couldn't be too weak. Besides, Han Fei's rod also looked extraordinary. Wang Baiyu said, "Brother Han, your rod seems rare." Han Fei said, "It's a gift from my brother. It's only slightly better than an iron rod. I'm sure Brother Wang has much better weapons." Wang Baiyu was naturally not convinced, but he was more decent than to rob a total stranger. He looked at Han Fei's boat curiously. "Huh, Brother Han, your boat is still full of fish." Han Fei said without blushing, "They jumped on my boat during the fish tide. However, since my boat has been terribly damaged, I think they're barely enough to cover compensation costs." Wang Baiyu shook his head. "Your boat was deliberately destroyed. Somebody will investigate it. You don't even need to pay the fish tax. However, do you have any rare fish on board?" Han Fei asked. "You're looking for rare fish, Brother Wang?" Wang Baiyu said, "Truth be told, I'm looking for rare and mysterious fish in the general fishery on this trip." Han Fei replied, "I'm afraid I don't have any. I did have a ball fish during the fish tide, but I couldn't deal with its spurts. It jumped back into the ocean in the end." Wang Baiyu was obviously disappointed. Ball fish were not too rare. The Wang Baiyu had plenty of them. Han Fei asked, "Brother Wang, do you purchase fish? Since my boat can't move now, I can sell my fish to you at a lower price." Wang Baiyu smiled calmly. "What do you have?" Han Fei counted. "I have 7 knives, 6 green turtles, a small octopus, a jellyfish, 3 whelks." Some jumped onto the boat on their own, including the small octopus. The jellyfish was caught by accident. As for the whelks, they were discovered in the stomachs of the dead fish. Together, they were worth some money. Wang Baiyu was immediately shocked. "You've kept 7 knives after the fish tide?" Han Fei replied, "Yes. There were even tentacle lobsters, but alas, they ran loose." "Right, I had a few tentacles. The lobsters left them during the fight with the blade fish." What Han Fei offered was worth 8 mid-quality pearls. That might not sound like too many but was actually a lot. Even the descendants of a great family usually did not have so much money with them. Wang Baiyu immediately nodded his head. "All right, I'll take them. However, I don't need the yellow fish and the like. If you want, I can help you bring them back. It's very easy for me." Han Fei said, "I could use your help. Thank you very much." Wang Baiyu and Han Fei were not friends. He was only doing Han Fei a favor. He cleared a boat for Han Fei and asked one of his subordinates to escort Han Fei back. After Han Fei left, a subordinate asked, "Third young master, why do you treat him so nicely? It was unnecessary for us to purchase those things at all." With intelligence that did not befit his age, Wang Baiyu explained, "Do you not feel suspicious that an intermediate fisher has an enemy who's a peak fisher or even a fishing master? Usually, people only have enemies of their own level. Besides, you really think it's possible to avoid a fish tide by hiding in the cabin?" Chapter 27. It feels good to spend money. Wang Baiyu sent Han Fei away first because he did not want Han Fei to know the real purpose of his trip. Han Fei did not want to pry into it, either. Being rescued was good enough for him. The only bad thing was that he owed the guy a favor. In the departure port, the receptionist was surprised to see Han Fei. The receptionist asked, "It's been 5 days, you're still alive?" Han Fei said, "Sister Chin, it's a long story. My boat was deliberately damaged." Han Fei explained everything quickly. The receptionist frowned, her face cold and expressionless. She said, "I'll have someone investigate it. If it's true, the supervision department will give you an answer." As Wang Baiyu said, the port did not levy fish tax on him, because Han Fei's indictment still required investigation. If it was fake, Han Fei would have to do much more than paying fish tax. If it was true, the port authorities wouldn't let go of whoever sabotaged the boat. Han Fei left the port with 7 mid-quality pearls, 6 of which were from Wang Baiyu. Han Fei's return did not catch any attention. Instead of going home or to school, Han Fei decided to increase his capabilities since Wang Baiyu mentioned that his enemy could be a peak fisher. He was not so desperate before, but it was impossible for a level 5 fisher to defeat a peak fisher who was multiple levels higher than him, if not a fishing master, whatever his weapon was. After an hour, Han Fei walked to the business area in the western port of the island, where he found a blacksmith. A brawny man with exposed arms smiled at him. "Brother, what can I get you?" Han Fei asked. "Can you coat my rod with iron?" Unlike He Xiaoyu, Han Fei did not have a fishing master father, who ensured that her bamboo rod wouldn't be looted. Although Han Fei could count on Tang Jie, he did not think that it would be easy to meet Tang Jie again after Fang Zi took him away. The blacksmith was amazed by Han Fei's purple bamboo rod. "Where did you get this rod? Wow, it's so extraordinary." Han Fei said warily, "One of my seniors gave it to me, but I found it too high profile." "Uncle, can you coat it or not? If not, I'll find someone else." The blacksmith said, "Of course I can. But this is a great rod as it is. Is your senior a fishing master?" Narrowing his eyes, Han Fei said, "A little bit higher." The blacksmith lowered his voice, "A peak fishing master." Han Fei asked, "Uncle, are fishing masters the best experts you've seen?" The blacksmith was shocked. "You mean the village leader?" "That's impossible. The village leader doesn't have a nephew." Han Fei said, "Uncle, do you really think that there is only one grand fishing master in Heavenly Water Village?" Eesh. The blacksmith changed his face greatly. Some people said that the grandfather of the Wang family became a grand fishing master a long time ago. The leader of the tigers was also reaching for the level of grand fishing master. Was this boy related to them? Or were there more hidden experts in Heavenly Water Village? Han Fei said, "Uncle, certain things are best left unknown, do you understand?" Seeing that Han Fei was proud and confident, the blacksmith nodded. At the very least, Han Fei's look was rather convincing. The blacksmith said, "I can do that. It will only take a moment." Han Fei waited for a quarter. He was quite satisfied with the rod once it was entirely blackened. Ignoring the blacksmith's puzzled looks, he disappeared into the crowd. What Han Fei did not know was that the blacksmith locked the door and left immediately after he left. Han Fei visited many stores before he finally left the western port and returned to the eastern port he came from. After returning to the place that he was familiar with, Han Fei finally cursed the expensive service aloud, which cost him 18 low-quality pearls. In Wang Jia's store, the manager was calculating the accounts when he saw a familiar person. Wasn't it his boss's student? "Mr. Guan, what are you busy with?" Mr. Guan said, "I didn't expect to see you. Why, are you rich again? What would you like to buy?" Han Fei asked in a low voice, "Mr. Guan, is there anything better than the fish head body polishing fluid here?" Mr. Guan immediately asked in surprise, "Better than the fish head body polishing fluid? Do you want the spirit refilling pill? Can you afford it?" Han Fei was surprised that something was indeed available. He asked interestedly, "Mr. Guan, I've earned some money. How much is the spirit refilling pill?" Mr. Guan said, "The spirit refilling pill can quickly refill 300 points of spiritual energy. It's mainly sold to the peak fishermen. Why do you want it? Besides, every pill costs 2 mid-quality pearls. Can you afford it?" Han Fei was rather shocked. 2 mid-quality pearls for 300 points of spiritual energy. That was too expensive. However, Han Fei still asked, "Mr. Guan, how fast can the spirit refilling pill refill spiritual energy?" "It's rather expensive." Mr. Guan smiled. "It only takes 10 seconds. 2 mid-quality pearls is actually a fair price." Han Fei chuckled. "Mr. Guan, is there anything better? Do you have anything that can nurture the veins or increase spiritual energy? You're quite a dreamer, aren't you? Even if they are available in my store, they will be reserved by my boss." "Huh, there's a bottle of iron fish body polishing fluid that is of no use to my boss anymore. I can sell it for 6 mid-quality pearls, since you're my boss's student." Han Fei's eyes glittered. "Mr. Guan, I would like that." He took 6 shiny mid-quality pearls from his pocket. Mr. Guan was immediately shocked. "You're just a student. Where did you get the money?" Without thinking, Han Fei said, "My brother gave it to me. My brother was recruited by the angel as a disciple for his level 7 spiritual heritage. He gave you a couple of mid-quality pearls." "Ah, Tang Jie is your brother?" Han Fei asked. "Mr. Guan, do you know my brother?" Mr. Guan said, "Of course. Who in Heavenly Water Village doesn't know Tang Jie? His spiritual heritage is too good even for the town. Wait, if you are his brother, why don't you ask him for it instead of buying it in my store?" Han Fei pretended to smile bitterly. "I wouldn't buy it if I could meet him. Angel Fang Zi has been keeping him busy. With the fishing trial coming, I can't waste all my time waiting." Mr. Guan nodded. "It does make sense. Since you are Tang Jie's brother, I'll give you a 10% discount on this bottle of iron fish body polishing fluid." Han Fei said, "Wow. Thank you, Mr. Guan." Mr. Guan looked at Han Fei thoughtfully and said, "I know that you are eager in cultivation, but you must not be anxious. The iron fish body polishing fluid is designed for peak fishermen. You'd better not try it until you're level 6 and not use too much at once. Also, you must not make a breakthrough with the iron fish body polishing fluid. It's a medication for cultivation, not for breakthroughs." Han Fei said, "Got it. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Guan. I would like to buy another 2 bottles of fish head body polishing fluid." Han Fei felt like weeping after he left the store. Training was truly costly. He thought he was rich just now, but in the blink of an eye, he had only 42 low-quality pearls left, which were not even enough to buy a knife. However, Han Fei was much more relaxed now that his money had been spent. He bought 2 big whelks, 10 clams, and several kinds of sauces. In the end, he had only 6 low-quality pearls left. Han Fei mumbled all the way home. If it weren't for Tang Jie's celebration, he wouldn't buy anything so expensive as big whelks. 2 of them cost 24 low-quality pearls. His heart was bleeding. They're just big whelks. I can catch several hundred of them later and make a fortune with them. They're everywhere at the bottom of the ocean. While Han Fei muttered to himself and approached his home, he saw several people at the gate of his house from far away. Chapter 28. Do you still collect protection fees? As he approached, Han Fei saw that a few gangsters were having clams in his yard. His face immediately turned grim. "Hey, brother gang, that guy is back." "Ha!" The fatty threw the shells to the ground heavily. "Brat, do you know that I came for you yesterday? Where is the protection fee that I asked?" Han Fei shivered in fury. "I was on the brink of death several times, and when I finally come home, you're eating my food. Is it fair?" Han Fei grinned coldly. 5 low-quality pearls for each clam. "I'll let you go if you give me the money, or I'll beat you until you pay for them." The fatty and his lackeys were dazed. Then, they burst into laughter. "Brother gang, did he just ask us for money? Brother gang, this guy is crazy. Is he threatening us?" With a wicked smile, the fatty bared his teeth and chuckled. "Brat, did my ears just deceive me, or was your brain damaged by an iron-head fish? You're threatening your brother gang." Dong. Han Fei was much more confident now. The guy might be a level 7 fisher, so what? It was not such a challenge after he killed a sea dragon. Han Fei drew his purple bamboo rod and declared, "Do you want to spill your blood in my place?" Brother gang and his people were about to mock Han Fei again, when the purple bamboo rod glowed in Han Fei's hand. Brother gang changed his face. "Brat, you're truly bold. Brothers, take him down. I'll kill you." Han Fei jumped and struck with the purple bamboo rod heavily. "You think I'm too old to wield a rod?" Before Brother gang realized what was going on, one of his level 5 subordinates had already been hit. The man cried, holding his shoulder, "Ah! My arm is broken. Brother gang, my arm is broken." Brother gang burst into fury. "Are you asking to be killed?" All of them picked up their rods. How could they be defeated by a child who was terribly outnumbered? Clang, clang, clang. Han Fei had 159 points of basic spiritual energy and a storage of more than 3,000 points. What could he possibly be scared of? "I'm going to kill this fatty." Bam! One of the gangsters filled his body with spiritual energy and tried to take Han Fei's attack the hard way. However, after a crack, the man fell on the ground and vomited blood. Brother gang became alarmed. Not good. This boy is at the peak of level 6. Let me. The fatty slashed an iron rod at Han Fei. Outside of his expectations, Han Fei felt that his arm was numb. His face slightly changed. Was the guy a level 7 fisher? Brother Gang was also stunned. You're rather strong, but you don't know how good a level 7 expert is at all. Sweeping flash stick. Instantly, a snake belt seemed to be slithering on the fatty. Next moment, the fatty's combat ability significantly increased. His speed was twice as high. Han Fei was shocked. How could a man so fat be so fast? Clang, 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 bam. Han Fei was forced to step back for the first time. Although he felt that he was no weaker than the fatty, he could not bear the fatty's 6 consecutive attacks at the same time. Cough. Han Fei's arm was numb, and blood flowed on his lips. Brother Gang sneered. Level 7 experts can loot the power of demonic fish. You think I do not have any power? Boy, kneel and submit all your belongings. Fine, since you do not have any belongings, give this yard to me, and I will spare you. Han Fei took a deep breath. He still had his recovery ability, although it was much weaker than previously. He grinned. Is it the only thing that level 7 experts are capable of? How weak are you? Ah, infinite spiritual energy surged out from Han Fei. Both he and his rod glowed as he leapt and smashed again. Clang. Brother Gang said, boy, you are killing yourself. You're only a level 6 fisher. Filling your body with spiritual energy alone will cost 1/3 of your spiritual energy. How many more times can you strike? Han Fei said, you really talk too much. Clang, clang, clang. Han Fei smashed at him 6 times crazily without stopping. He was hit once in return, which made his chest hurt. The fatty breathed heavily. His previous attacks only caused a minor injury to Han Fei, but the boy went crazy and struck another couple of times. How much spiritual energy did the boy have? Han Fei did not stop there. He swept, and the spiritual energy spread out in ripples. Dum, 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 hoo. The rods collided thunderously. Brother Gang vomited blood and lost control of his iron rod. His eyes were full of disbelief. How was it possible? How many times had the boy struck while filling his body with spiritual energy? It must have cost more than 200 points of spiritual energy. Bam! Han Fei dispersed his spiritual energy and whipped the fatty. All the other gangsters were stunned. Had Brother Gang been defeated? Han Fei squatted before Brother Gang and grinned. Do you still collect protection fee from me? Sweating hard, Brother Gang said, it's a misunderstanding. Brother, it's totally a misunderstanding. Bam, bam, bam. Han Fei bashed Brother Gang 3 times and knocked him to the ground. A misunderstanding? Are you sure it's a misunderstanding? Brother Gang grimaced in pain but dared not fight back. Brother, I can compensate you. I guarantee that I won't look for you for trouble anymore. Bam, bam, bam. Han Fei yelled, who's your brother? Brother Gang said, Master Han. Please forgive me, Master Han. Bam, bam, bam. Brother Gang trembled. Why are you still beating me? I will be crippled if you don't stop. Brother Gang begged for mercy. Master, please spare me. I can give you my girlfriend. Han Fei did not know what to say. Bam. Gloomily, Han Fei said, leave your money and your iron rod here and get lost. Brother Gang wept. How could he have imagined this happening? Why did the guy pretend to be so weak a few days ago? Brother Gang said, Master, I only have an iron rod. Here you are. Please don't point it at me. I'm scared. Han Fei said, I've wasted too much spiritual energy on you. Your iron rod is not nearly enough to compensate for my loss. You'd better get as far away as possible. Yes, of course. Why are you still here? Go. Han Fei was secretly surprised when the fatty rose and ran agilely. Was it the power of the demonic fish that he mentioned? If the fatty had stored enough spiritual energy, the result of the battle could have been different. His weird power doubled his strength. Han Fei only defeated him because he had much more spiritual energy than his enemy did. No, I underestimated the advanced fishermen. They are called advanced for a reason. The fatty was defeated by me because of insufficient spiritual energy. What if he were a level 8 fisher? For the second time, Han Fei felt that he had been improving too slowly. Even a gangster could reach level 7. How many such people were out there in this world where everybody cultivated? He was only a Mr. Nobody, and he had to work hard to change that. Han Fei entered the room and saw a note on the table left by Tang Jie. I won't be back for the time being. There's something in that place you know. I'll see you at the fishing trial. Han Fei shredded the note and reached the back of the house. Behind the house was a cliff, with a trail less than half a meter wide. An iron chain was hanging on the trail. Han Fei grabbed the chain and descended carefully for about 10 meters. Then, an inconspicuous cave whose entrance was covered by bushes lay before his eyes. The cave had existed before the house was built. Every time Tang Jie found anything good, he would hide it in the cave instead of the house in case it was stolen. The cave was 4 meters deep and 3 meters wide. There was a small bed and a stone tank where dozens of clams were kept. On the bed, Han Fei saw a small package. Han Fei gasped after he opened it. 2 mid-quality pearls rolled out first. They were probably all the money that Tang Jie had. Besides the 2 mid-quality pearls, there were also 2 books, an iron box, and a bottle. Han Fei gasped again, because the covers of the 2 books said Swimming Art and Mystic Body Technique. After only a quick glance, Han Fei already knew why they were important. Most fishermen in Heavenly Water Village practiced stick arts. Even if there were books about other arts in the school library, there couldn't be too many. Whatever the 2 books were about, they couldn't be any worse than sweeping stick. A spirit refilling pill. Han Fei picked up the bottle and smiled. He said to himself, I do have a good brother. Chapter 29. Incomplete Art. The spirit refilling pill was very precious. Each of them cost 2 mid-quality pearls at Wang Jia's shop. Now, he had a whole bottle of them. Although he could have 50 yellow fish for the same amount of spiritual energy, it would take him a couple of days on the ocean. With the 10 spirit refilling pills, he could get 3,000 points of spiritual energy easily. He opened the iron box, and the cave was immediately filled with fragrance. Han Fei's eyes widened. Was it crimson sea fruit? Han Fei was certain that it was not a purple bamboo fruit, although its aroma was also entering his body through his skin. Han Fei's heart pounded. Was it a fruit on the same level as the purple bamboo fruit? He stared at it, only to see no data. Did such a treasure have no data representation? Even so, Han Fei was still excited. The purple bamboo fruit had changed the demon purification pot and given him 1,000 points of spiritual energy. He did not expect Tang Jie to leave a treasure as good as that to him. Han Fei closed the box in a hurry. He could not take it recklessly. Back at the bottom of the ocean, the spiritual energy in the fruit was so overwhelming that his body overheated. It was certainly not a good feeling. Han Fei held back his urge to swallow the fruit and turned to the 2 books. Swimming Art. Han Fei was slightly surprised. It was a book that taught how to swim fast. It was not exactly a technique. Han Fei learned from the book that ordinary people could only hold 100 breaths, and only the grand fishing masters could hold 1,000 breaths at the bottom of the ocean. He spent half an hour in the ocean, which was more than 1,000 breaths. Did a breath denote a different time length in this world? Han Fei did not think too much. Swimming art was quite useful after all. If he had known it better, he wouldn't have been so devastated in the ocean. After reading it carefully, Han Fei suddenly had a strange feeling. Why do I remember it so clearly? Han Fei looked at the list of arts on the demon purification pot. Existing battle techniques. Existing arts. Swimming art, mortal level, high quality. Note: it's a mediocre, generic swimming technique based on multiple other swimming techniques. To infer the ultimate technique, you need to spend 1,000 points of spiritual energy. Superseding art. Wandering dragon art. Progress. 0.001. Han Fei was excited. Could battle techniques be inferred, too? While 1,000 points of spiritual energy was a lot, such a life-saving method was definitely worth it. Han Fei said, infer it. Spiritual energy surged out, and swimming art changed. Existing arts. Wandering dragon art, mortal level, divine quality. Note: it simulates the movement of unpredictable fish and dragons with spiritual energy. Han Fei was interested. Could all arts and battle techniques be inferred to higher levels? Also, the results were all divine quality. However, What quality was divine quality exactly? He Xiao Yu said that above high quality was ultra quality, and nothing was above ultra quality. It was obviously incorrect. Neither He Xiao Yu nor her father had access to the levels above ultra quality. I'll practice the technique when I go to the ocean next time, well, or maybe when I surpass the peak of level 6. Wandering dragon art could not be put to use immediately. Han Fei turned to Mystic Body Technique, the other book. After Han Fei read it carefully, the upgrade requirement for Mystic Body Technique popped up in his head. Existing arts. Mystic Body Technique, mortal level, high quality. Note: this body conditioning art can fortify and harden the major acupuncture points over the body to stop spiritual energy from leaking. Drawback: the foundation can be ruined when the major acupuncture points are hardened. Superseding arts. Incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body conditioning. Progress. 0.2200. Eesh. Han Fei gasped that it required 2,200 points of spiritual energy to infer the book. He also sweated when he saw the drawback in the system. The foundation would be damaged. That would definitely hinder future advancement. Tang Jie couldn't have tried to harm him, so he might be unaware of the drawback. It would be terrible if he practiced the technique. Han Fei decided to remind him next time they met. Han Fei couldn't feel more awful. 2,200 points of spiritual energy. Are you robbing me? Could you be better than void fishing? Fine. Stuff inferred with so much spiritual energy can't be anything bad. Han Fei said, infer it. Spiritual energy surged out again, and the interface changed. Existing arts. Incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body conditioning, mortal level, divine quality. Note: every human has 108 acupuncture points, and 36 of them are critical. This art can seal the critical acupuncture points and keep natural spiritual energy inside. Drawback: the following arts cannot be inferred unless corresponding body conditioning arts are found. Han Fei was delighted. It was a great deal. He did not know that there were so many critical acupuncture points on the body. If he could repair them, he would definitely be sturdier than most people. At the very least, he wouldn't worry about being ambushed. However, when he saw that he had only 142 points of spiritual energy left, Han Fei felt awful. Upgrading a random technique had cost him thousands of points of spiritual energy. What could he do if he had more techniques in the future? Han Fei shook the idea out of his head. He was in desperate need of strengthening his body, and Tang Ji's help couldn't be more timely. Han Fei studied the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing, which contained 108 stances. He immediately stood straight in a weird posture. His face changed after the first movement as he felt that his muscles tightened and stretched. The second, the third. By the time Han Fei reached the 8th stance, he breathed so heavily that he could barely continue. It was much more difficult than he had expected. Han Fei sat on the ground, sweating hard. Right then, Han Fei heard voices coming from above. "Brother, this is the place. That brat lives here." Han Fei grew alarmed. It was the fatty brother gang's voice. Bam! The gate was kicked open. Then, someone asked indifferently, "Where is he?" Brother gang said, "Huh. He was here just now. Where could he possibly run to?" The indifferent person said, gang, did the boy really defeat you with the strength of level 6? Brother gang said, "Brother Dong, it's true. That guy seemed to have infinite spiritual energy. He struck dozens of times but did not even need to catch his breath." The guy called Brother Dong remarked after a brief silence, "Interesting. Gang, order someone to watch the place. This guy must have a treasure with him. It's up to you whether or not we can obtain it." The voices were gone. Han Fei's heart became heavy. He shouldn't have been so gentle. The fatty did not learn his lesson at all. Han Fei knew better than to come out and fight the people above. The man named Brother Dong was at least a level 8 fisher, or the fatty wouldn't have been so obedient. "Fatty, you're good, I'll remember you now." Han Fei held back his rage. They did not know that he was a level 5 fisher, or more people would have come. It was unbelievable that a level 5 fisher defeated a level 7 fisher who absorbed the power of a demonic fish. Han Fei gritted his teeth and drank a bottle of fish head body polishing fluid. He had to speed up his cultivation. Immediately, Han Fei felt that he was full of power. The next 6 hours were critical for him. Han Fei resumed his cultivation. Although his muscles still ached because of the stretching, Han Fei was able to persist with the infinite power in his body. Han Fei was covered in sweat by the time he completed 36 movements. He seemed to have just been picked up from the ocean when he completed 72 movements. After he completed 108 movements, Han Fei's muscles cramped, and he fell on the ground in pain. Damn it, my whole body is spasming. What kind of body conditioning technique is this? Han Fei meant to pass out, but his brain was highly active with the tonic. It was not until 10 minutes later that Han Fei's spasm was finally over. Han Fei breathed heavily on the ground. This art was too horrifying. When Han Fei looked at the demon purification pot, he was astounded. Owner: Han Fei. Level: 5 intermediate fisher. Spiritual energy: 398, 167. Spiritual heritage: Level 1, high quality upgradable. Weapon: purple bamboo rod. Main art: void fishing, Chapter 1. Hook kiss mortal level, divine quality. Whoa, my capacity of spiritual energy has been increased by 8 points after I only practiced it once. This is amazing. Han Fei was stunned. It only increased by 1 point after he had a bowl of swallowed spirit soup, but 8 had been added after he practiced the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body conditioning once. Chapter 30. Breakthrough. In the day, Han Fei practiced the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body polishing. At night, Han Fei practiced void fishing and drew natural spiritual energy into his body. After only 1 day, Han Fei felt that he could advance to level 6. He sensed an obstacle that he could jump over easily. But Han Fei didn't. According to He Xiao Yu, one could go deeper into every phrase. Some talented people could defeat enemies above their level exactly because of their solid foundation. Since he only had level 1 spiritual heritage, if his foundation was not good enough, his future development would definitely be affected. Han Fei ran out of the fish head body polishing fluid on the 2nd day. He sipped the iron fish body polishing fluid and immediately blushed. It was much stronger than the fish head body polishing fluid. Han Fei felt like that his body was about to explode. Han Fei immediately practiced the 108 stances. After he practiced them 3 times in a row, the redness on Han Fei's face was finally gone. Han Fei looked at the demon purification pot. Owner: Han Fei. Level: 5 intermediate fisher. Spiritual energy: 506, 189. Spiritual heritage: Level 1, high quality. Weapon: purple bamboo rod. Main art: void fishing, Chapter 1. Hook kiss mortal level, divine quality. 189. Han Fei grinned. This art that cost 2,200 points of spiritual energy was definitely worth it. He had achieved more in 3 days than other people could in 3 months. He had a feeling that he could crush Brother Gang with only 3 hits right now. Not only had Han Fei's capacity for spiritual energy increased, but his body was also strengthened every time he completed the cycle of 108 stances. Some impurities had even been discharged. Han Fei even sensed that if he practiced it longer, it could even boost the growth of his spiritual heritage and save the upgrade cost of 1,000 points. Although the impurities discharged were not as many as last time, they were still a lot. After they were eliminated, Han Fei looked much healthier. After practicing the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body conditioning again, Han Fei realized that it could not improve the upper bound of his spiritual energy anymore. Suddenly, Han Fei's expression changed. Not good, I can't hold back now. Han Fei had such a strong thirst for spiritual energy that he felt like a dry desert that was in need of rain. He immediately sat cross-legged and activated void fishing with the spirit refilling pill laid before him. Night gradually fell. A fatty approached Han Fei's house. Brother Gang, you're here? Brother Gang asked, as the boy still not back. His lackey shook his head. No, he seems to have disappeared. Right, a level 6 little girl just dropped by. She left since the door was not answered. Ha, Brother Gang slapped his lackey's head. Are you an idiot? Why didn't you catch the girl? She must be the boy's friend. Feeling wronged, his lackey said, "Brother Gang, we tried to, but we couldn't." The girl had a bamboo rod. She smashed Ergo to the ground when he approached her. She's not a simple girl at all. A bamboo rod. She smashed Ergo to the ground. Brother Gang changed his face. She's impressive for her age. A bamboo rod. Does she have a fishing master parent? Suddenly, Brother Gang asked confusedly, "Hey, do you feel that the spiritual energy here seems more intense than before?" His lackey said, "Hasn't it always been this?" "Ha!" Brother Gang slapped his head again. "You're both stupid and insensitive. However, the change of spiritual energy is indeed not very significant. It's probably because the natural spiritual energy is particularly intense tonight." While Brother Gang and his lackey were chit-chatting, Han Fei was having the sugar bean. The 500 points of spiritual energy that he gathered naturally had been used up during his breakthrough. Incessant spiritual energy was entering his body, and he had a spirit refilling pill in his mouth, but to Han Fei's surprise, his spiritual energy was used up again after only a minute. Han Fei was dumbfounded. What's going on? Why does the breakthrough to level 6 require so much spiritual energy? Didn't they say that the breakthrough to level 7 was the real challenge? It was truly easy to break the obstacle to level 6. The only unbearable part for him was that the spiritual energy required for the breakthrough was too enormous. After taking 3 spirit refilling pills in a row, Han Fei finally realized that it couldn't help. Also, it was a waste to use spirit refilling pill in a breakthrough. They could save his life in a crisis. What could he do if he used them up right now? Han Fei turned to the iron box. Did he have to take it? Let's do it. Han Fei made a decision after only brief hesitation. Judging from the speed of consumption, even the 10 spirit refilling pills wouldn't be enough. Han Fei swallowed the fragrant fruit and immediately trembled. The spiritual energy from the fruit passed through his body. With enough supply of spiritual energy, Han Fei reached level 6 within 10 seconds. The calabash on his wrist flashed as if it were breathing. Same as last time, Han Fei's body was soon burning up. Since he was not in water this time, sweat was pouring out. Had it not been for the demon purification pot that was absorbing the spiritual energy of the fruit, he would have exploded. However, Han Fei could sense that his power was rising. His bones were itching, and his bone marrow was flowing. He speculated that the fruit was improving his body hardware, but the itchy feeling did not last. The fruit did not seem good enough. The process lasted about 5 minutes, before he digested the rarely seen fruit. Han Fei did not feel sorry at all. He was a level 6 now, and one of the better level 6s. He immediately looked at the demon purification pot. Owner: Han Fei. Level 6 intermediate fisher. Spiritual energy 2308-219. Spiritual heritage level 2, low quality upgradable. Weapon: purple bamboo rod. Main art: void fishing, chapter 1. Hook kiss mortal level, divine quality. Han Fei immediately gasped. The capacity for his spiritual energy had increased by 30 points. Could a level 8 fisher have so much spiritual energy? Han Fei suspected that his capacity for spiritual energy was beyond comprehension. More importantly, his spiritual heritage had changed from level 1, high quality, to level 2, low quality. It was a leap across levels thanks to the 2 fruits he had. Han Fei even sensed that his spiritual heritage could further improve if he had more such fruits. However, after checking the upgrade requirement for his spiritual heritage, he discovered that the 1,000 points of spiritual energy had turned into 10,000 points. Are you kidding me? Why is it 10,000 now? Han Fei was lost for words. However, on second thought, he realized that when he met the current requirement, his spiritual heritage would probably rise to level 3. Han Fei stood up, feeling that he was filled with power. He was certain that he could beat Brother Gang to the ground with one hit right now. Level 6 is already so good, what about level 7? Can I kill Brother Gang with a slap when I am in level 7? Han Fei thought for a moment. Was Brother Gang not strong? He certainly was. How could a level 7 fisher who had absorbed the power of a demonic fish be weak? 3 days ago, Han Fei only defeated the enemy with his storage of spiritual energy. Han Fei cleaned the environment. He put away the 7 spirit refilling pills and left the 2 books of battle techniques there. It was a pity that the demon purification pot did not change greatly this time, but the requirement for the function of Forge the Universe had changed from 10,000 points to 5,000 points. Han Fei concluded that the fruit contained almost 10,000 points of spiritual energy. It was truly impressive. Not far away from Han Fei's house, Brother Gang asked, "Do you smell anything? It's rather fragrant." His lackey said, "Ah, no, I don't think so, Brother Gang." "Ha," Brother Gang said, "can you agree with me just once? Stay here." Han Fei stood in a dark corner, grinning coldly. Chapter 31. A crisis caused by a smash. Brother Gang walked back, ready to go home. He mumbled, "Brat, you'd better not let me see you, or I will surely kill you." "Who are you going to kill?" Han Fei appeared, a piece of black cloth covering his face. He had a feeling that he was no longer useless. Brother Gang, taken aback, turned around and looked at Han Fei fearfully. "Where have you been hiding?" Brother Gang quickly set off a firecracker signal. Then, he demanded nervously with his iron rod, "Boy, you'd better run immediately, or you won't be able to when my level 8 expert arrives." Han Fei asked, "You can recognize me on such a late night?" Brother Gang rolled his eyes. "You think I'm blind? What kid would appear in this place so late at night?" Taking a deep breath, Brother Gang said, "It's unwise to fight me." Ouch. Before he finished, Brother Gang saw that Han Fei had jumped at him and smashed his purple bamboo rod down, not giving him any time to react. Brother Gang hurried to raise his iron rod to block it. Clang! Brother Gang was flung away. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his arms were instantly broken. His iron rod was also deformed. "Ah, spare me." Brother Gang peed his pants. The boy was too horrifying. He had knocked him out with only 1 hit. At that moment, Brother Gang felt that an adult iron-head fish crashed into him. He could not feel his arms anymore, and his internal organs were shivering. He felt like he was dying. At this life-and-death moment, Brother Gang quickly dropped his pride and begged for mercy. Street fights were forbidden on the floating island, not to mention killing. Han Fei did not intend to kill him, either. He simply pointed his purple bamboo rod at Brother Gang. "Give me your money." Brother Gang was confused. "You're still in the mood for robbery?" Brother Gang said, Master, my hands are broken." Han Fei said, "I'll take it on my own." Han Fei groped for a while and found a wallet, which contained a dozen low-quality pearls, and a bag of sunflower seeds, which were very cheap. Han Fei declared meanly, "You are truly poor. Do not let me see you again, or I will beat you up once more." He ran off immediately, because he saw someone coming toward them from far away. After a minute, Brother Gang's lackeys arrived. One of the lackeys asked, "Brother Gang, what's up? Are you all right?" Brother Gang cursed, "My hands are broken. Don't touch me." "Ouch. Inform Brother Dong now." Brother Gang made up his mind not to come to this place again. A 12-year-old boy had knocked him down with 1 hit. Was he in level 7? But even so, the boy was still unreasonably strong. After about an hour, a middle-aged man in black came. Brother Gang wailed the moment he saw the man. "Brother Gang, help me, Brother Gang. My hands are broken. I've suffered severe internal injuries." Li Dong was in a foul mood after being woken up in the middle of the night. He frowned at Brother Gang. "What happened?" Brother Gang wept. "Brother Dong, it was the boy you asked us to watch. He appeared out of nowhere and knocked me down with 1 hit. Brother Dong, you must settle the score for me." Li Dong was slightly surprised. He had little respect for Li Gang, but the guy was a level 7 fisher after all. If his enemy had crushed Li Gang like this and even bent an iron rod, his enemy's combat ability was at least in level 8. In that case, even Li Dong couldn't finish him easily. Li Dong asked, "Are you sure it was him?" Brother Gang said, "Absolutely. Although the boy covered his face, I could recognize a 12-year-old boy." Li Dong furrowed his eyebrow. Was there a 12-year-old level 8 fisher in Heavenly Water Village? If so, wasn't he a genius? Li Dong summoned one of his subordinates. "Bring the manager of this area to me. I remember it's Zhang Han." Zhang Han arrived a moment later in untidy clothes. Zhang Han was rather angry that his good sleep was interrupted. If it weren't for them being from the tigers, he would have thrown them off the island. However, when Zhang Han saw Li Dong, he greeted respectfully, "Brother Dong, what's happened here?" Then, Zhang Han looked at Brother Gang in surprise. "Hey, it's you, Gang. Did someone beat you up?" Brother Gang had shown little respect to Zhang Han with the tigers at his back. He did not feel good about Zhang Han's teasing, but he dared not argue. Li Dong asked, "Who's living in that house?" "A 12-year-old boy. What's his strength and background?" Seeing that Li Dong was pointing at Han Fei's house, Zhang Han chuckled. "Brother Dong, don't you see how ragged the house is? A useless guy named Han Fei lives there. He's only a level 2 fisher." Zhang Han secretly laughed. It was true that the boy was useless, but he had a tough brother who had been recruited by the angel as a disciple. Even Zhang Han dared not make trouble for Han Fei anymore. Li Dong sniffed at Zhang Han's casualness. "Zhang Han, are the tigers not worth any respect now? Stop messing with me." Zhang Han said, "Of course you are. I have always respected the tigers. However, I don't think you should piss off the people living in this house. Han Fei is useless, but his brother is the angel's disciple. Do you understand?" The angel's disciple. Li Dong immediately changed his face. The angel, as an expert from the city, could destroy the tigers single-handedly. Zhang Han secretly chuckled and continued, "Brother Gang, Han Fei couldn't have hurt Gang, but Tang Jie is probably a level 8 fisher now. Gang should be grateful that he's still alive. If Tang Jie intended to kill him, he would have been dead." Would anyone demand the angel for an explanation? Zhang Han thought that it was definitely done by Tang Jie. Only Tang Jie was capable of crippling the fatty with one hit. Li Dong gasped hard and realized that he was in serious trouble. Everybody in Heavenly Water Village knew Tang Jie now. Pissing off Tang Jie meant pissing off the angel, and pissing off the angel meant suicide. Brother Gang was also dumbfounded. Tang Jie had been living in this shithole. He trembled hard. He thought he was screwed. Was the masked man not the boy he knew but his brother? But it didn't make sense. He could tell that it was Han Fei's voice. The tigers were busy for the rest of the night. Li Gang was tied up at the gate of the headquarters of the tigers as a gesture of apology. Li Ju, the leader of the tigers, tried to pull his strings and apologize to the angel. He even came to the village leader, only to be refused without thinking because the village leader did not want to get involved. The Wang family gloated. A lot of people thought that the tigers were doomed, including Li Ju himself. He even asked his subordinates to escort Li Hu to the ocean to wait out the crisis. As for himself, he couldn't leave, or the tigers would be doomed if the angel came to ask for trouble. As a matter of fact, Fang Zi did not know about the incident at all, and neither did Tang Jie. The culprit behind the whole thing was having shrimp dumplings in a stand before the school and complaining about how awful they tasted. The school gate was rather lively in the morning. Many students were coming for classes. "Hey, Han Fei!" Suddenly, a delightful voice carried over. Han Fei raised his head. It was He Xiao Yu. Chapter 32, The First Class. Han Fei said, "Hey, He Xiao Yu, the shrimp dumplings in this diner are awful. Do you want any? You are giving them to me because they're awful." Amused, He Xiao Yu grabbed Han Fei's ears and shouted, "You're still in the mood for food. Where the hell have you been? Everybody in the school is worried that Tang Jie will go crazy if you're dead." Han Fei said, Hey, can you be a little gentler, or nobody will marry you in the future." "Who says that I'm dead? I only took a tour on the ocean." He Xiao Yu said, "A tour? Do you know how many boats were sent to search for you? Even my father was depressed." Han Fei knew that the school searched for him only because they were worried that Tang Jie would blame them. Han Fei said, "My boat was broken. I floated on the ocean for 5 days and 5 nights. Did anyone really come for me? Fine, if you're not interested in them, let's go to school." He Xiao Yu said anxiously, "How could your boat be broken? Come to the teachers with me." Before He Xiao Yu finished the last shrimp dumpling, He Xiao Yu had already dragged him into school. On their way, people exclaimed now and then, "Wasn't Han Fei dead on the ocean? Han Fei is still alive. That's not right. This guy was missing for more than a week." Why is he here again? Han Fei must be in a relationship with He Xiaoyu. There's definitely something between them. Ha! Blushing, He Xiaoyu stuck the bamboo rod into the ground and scolded, "What are you talking about? I'll beat you up if you don't shut up." He Xiaoyu certainly had a violent tendency, or she wouldn't be carrying this bamboo rod all the time. However, the girl was only violent when she was angry. Han Fei seemed even more violent than she was. Han Fei asked, "He Xiaoyu, aren't we supposed to go to class?" He Xiaoyu said, "What class? We're graduating soon. We have to go to the teachers and tell them that you're back." On their way, He Xiaoyu reminded him that the fishing trial, which was held once every 3 years, would start soon. All the teachers were busy offering the students guidance on how to survive and succeed in the trial. Wang Jia was about to teach life-saving methods to a group of students, when He Xiaoyu came in with Han Fei. Wang Jia was bewildered. "Han Fei, you're not dead." Han Fei replied, "Sir, I've returned safely." Ha! Wang Jia slapped Han Fei's head. "You're really a troublemaker. Everybody thought you died on the ocean. Do you know how many boats the school sent to search for you?" Han Fei rubbed his head speechlessly. "Sir, I didn't want it, either. Someone damaged my boat. I wandered for 5 days, 800 kilometers away in the general fishery." Wang Jia asked solemnly, "Huh? What happened?" Wang Jia despised Han Fei before, but Han Fei did make a breakthrough when the test was drawing near, so he thought more highly of Han Fei now. He certainly wouldn't want anyone to set up his student. His students could die in accidents but not in schemes. After Han Fei told him everything, Wang Jia frowned. "You mean a fisher higher than level 9, or even a fishing master, tried to kill you?" Han Fei said, "Master, the port is already investigating it." He Xiaoyu was dumbfounded. "A fishing master tried to kill you? Did they even need to try? They could have killed you with a slap." Suddenly, Wang Jia stepped back and observed Han Fei. While He Xiaoyu and Han Fei were confused, Wang Jia patted Han Fei's shoulder. Han Fei knew that Wang Jia had seen through his strength. It was another test. "Ouch, that hurts. Why did you hit me, sir?" Wang Jia, however, ignored him and stared at Han Fei weirdly. "When did you reach level 6? Wang Jia found it incomprehensible. "I can understand if you reach a higher level every month, or even every half month, but you stagnated for 4 years and reached level 6 from level 2 in only half a month. Is Tang Jie capable of that?" Suddenly, Wang Jia felt that he should ask Han Fei to do another spiritual heritage test. He did not believe that Han Fei had such talent. As if he knew what was on Wang Jia's mind, Han Fei said in a hurry, "Sir, no need to feel surprised. I had a spiritual fruit that my brother gave to me, and I soared to level 6 from level 4. Both Wang Jia and He Xiaoyu were relieved. That explained how fast his advancement was. Then, Wang Jia glared at Han Fei with his eyes full of fury. "A spiritual fruit? A spiritual fruit only upgraded you by 2 levels. You are truly useless. That's a spiritual fruit." Wang Jia was lost for words. Even he did not have any spiritual fruit yet. It was a waste that Han Fei could not absorb the power of the spiritual fruit. Wang Jia did not want to talk to Han Fei anymore. His eyes reddened with jealousy. He Xiaoyu, however, pulled Han Fei and asked enviously, "Han Fei, how does the spiritual fruit taste? Did you just advance after you took it?" Han Fei looked at He Xiaoyu pitifully. "You may have a fishing master father, but so what? He can't pick any spiritual fruit, can he?" Han Fei said casually, "It was nothing. After I took it, my body burned and my veins bulged. Spiritual energy overflowed from my body. When I cultivated myself in the meantime, I heard the cracks of obstacles being broken." Ha! Wang Jia slapped Han Fei's head again. "Overflow. Cracks. I'm already drooling just listening to you." Wang Jia sniffed. "Go to the fishing trial class now. Everyone has to be present." He Xiaoyu hurried to drag Han Fei away. She could tell that even she would probably be hit if they stayed any longer, because Wang Jia's eyes were already red. Soon after they left, He Xiaoyu asked in a low voice, "Han Fei, are we going to fight other people today?" Han Fei turned around to her in surprise. "I don't think that's appropriate, is it? If I cause trouble the moment I come back, won't I be kicked out?" He Xiaoyu said, "There's nothing to be scared of. I'm very close to level 7 now, and I think I can make it with a dozen bowls of swallowed spirit soup and a bottle of fish head body polishing fluid. I can lend you my bamboo rod." Han Fei understood everything. Although the girl vomited last time, she had certainly benefited a lot from it, or she wouldn't be encouraging him now. However, Han Fei was also tempted himself. Although the swallowed spirit soup was of little use to him anymore, he could still increase his spiritual energy by taking dozens of bowls of them. They immediately made a deal that they would duel with other people when the class was over. It was Han Fei's first class. Nobody was willing to sit next to him. He Xiaoyu, as his temporary ally, sat there to show her support. However, Wang Jia said gloomily immediately after he came in, "Do not sit next to each other. You are too little for relationships." Immediately, everybody looked at Han Fei and He Xiaoyu. Blushing, He Xiaoyu said angrily, "I'm not in a relationship." Han Fei opened his hands helplessly. "Me neither. Everything between us is innocent." Innocent. The moment he mentioned it, everybody looked at Han Fei weirdly, wondering when Han Fei became so shameless. The class began. Wang Jia spoke. "You must be familiar with the fishing trial by now. I'll skip the specific details. All I want to stress is that you must not overestimate yourself. You know how many students are killed by the fish every year. 10% of them die, and 50% of them are injured." Wang Jia talked a lot. Han Fei had never heard it before, so he was rather interested. The fishing trial was just a way to select excellent talents through fishing. Only by passing the trial could one awaken their naturally endowed spiritual beast. When everybody imagined their success, He Xiaoyu said to Han Fei in a low voice, "The spiritual beast is very awesome, so the higher your rank is, the better. If you are the first place, more power will be at your disposal when you awaken the spiritual beast, and your spiritual beast will be stronger." Chapter 33. A two-person team. After the lecture, Han Fei and He Xiaoyu went to Class 1, each holding a stick. He Xiaoyu looked at Han Fei's weapon curiously. "Your iron rod looks weird. My father said that fancy-looking weapons are useless." Han Fei said to himself, "There's a lot of things that your father doesn't know," but he did not say it aloud and changed the topic quickly. Han Fei asked, "Why are only 1,000 people allowed to awaken their spirits? There are tens of thousands of students in total on this island, aren't there?" He Xiaoyu replied, "But the ritual requires the spirit awakening fluid, which is only enough for the usage of 1,000 people. I don't think it will be any different this time." Han Fei was surprised. "What about the rest of them? End up as common fishermen?" He Xiaoyu looked at Han Fei in surprise. "Are you an idiot? If they can reach level 10 and make a natural breakthrough, their spiritual beasts will also be awakened." Han Fei grinned in embarrassment as his memory returned. Natural awakening more often happened to the young people around 20 than to the kids in the village. They had passed their golden age for cultivation, so they could make few achievements even though their spiritual beast was awakened. Han Fei was determined to achieve higher things since the ritual was decided according to rank. He grew excited at the thought of that. He dragged He Xiaoyu and said, "Hurry up. What's most important for a cultivator? It's time." He Xiaoyu was lost for words. "You seem rather hasty. Why were you not so devoted in the past 4 years? Besides, since you are level 6, you are basically guaranteed to pass the fishing trial." Bam! The door of Class 1 was kicked open. Everybody was shocked. Han Fei put his rod down and declared, "I'm back. Have you prepared your protection? Well, your swallowed spirit soup." Han Fei held his head high. He sensed that He Xiaoyu was pulling him, but he said impatiently, "Don't be scared. I'm level 6 now. I can beat up the whole grade." "You're going to beat up the whole grade?" The intimidating voice stiffened Han Fei. He looked aside, only to see the fishing master teacher of Class 1. Stunned, Han Fei said, "Well, greetings, sir. I'm told that everybody in Class 1 is very strong. I'm here to challenge them now that I stepped into level 6. If I lose, He Xiaoyu's bamboo rod will go to them. If I win, I will only ask for a bowl of swallowed spirit soup." Bam! Han Fei was flung away, and the fishing master cursed, "Get lost, you shameless scoundrel." Han Fei was not as useless as before in everyone's eyes after they witnessed his brutal performance and his infinite spiritual energy when he had swallowed spirit soup. How could they defeat him? Han Fei was lost for words. Why did the teacher hit him? He only offered a piece of advice. A level 7 expert of class 1 looked at Han Fei and said, "Mr. Yang, he's only good when he has the swallowed spirit soup. I will fight him as long as he doesn't take the swallowed spirit soup." Mr. Yang frowned. Han Fei was a level 6 even without the swallowed spirit soup, and it wouldn't be easy to defeat him. In the 4 schools of the village, there were only 1,000 students who were level 6. Han Fei's performance couldn't be too bad. Mr. Yang decided that it was not bad to let the students take a closer look at level 6. He said, "You can challenge them, but they have to be on the same level as you." Han Fei was about to leave, but he immediately patted his chest and said, "No problem. I want 2 bowls of swallowed spirit soup." Grimly, Mr. Yang said, "1 bowl, and you are not allowed to take it during the battle." Han Fei said, "Sir, this isn't fair. I would only be able to defeat 1 person." Mr. Yang was amused. "How many people do you intend to defeat?" "The whole grade." Han Fei grinned. "All right, let's have a fight first. I can use a bowl of soup for now." All the class rolled their eyes. "Who can you defeat without your swallowed spirit soup?" Lu Lingzi had just reached level 6. She intended to accept the challenge as a way to test her abilities. However, Hu Kun stood out and said, "Let me. Nobody is going to compete with me." Han Fei's advancement was intimidating and unreasonable. Tang Jie must have been helping him. Nobody knew Han Fei better than Hu Kun did in the entire school. Also, Tang Jie had helped Han Fei too many times before. He must have left many useful things to Han Fei before he was taken away, or Han Fei couldn't have reached level 6 so quickly. Delighted, Han Fei grinned at Hu Kun. "Don't be hasty. One at a time. Fetch your soup first." Hu Kun said, "There will be plenty of soup as long as you can win." Clang. Hu Kun lunged with his iron rod. He finally had a good reason to beat him up. Nobody looked forward to the opportunity more than he did. Han Fei extended his hand, and he Xiao Yu handed over her bamboo rod promptly. Han Fei said, "Come on, let's see what you've got." Everybody was lost for words. He made it look like a test. What Hu Kun practiced was flying stick, which was very fast. Han Fei chuckled. "Fast is useless. I'm going to sweep you." The advantage of sweeping stick was the range and the force. Han Fei filled the bamboo rod with his spiritual energy and waved a curve with it intimidatingly. Hu Kun could fight it back, block it, or retreat. If Hu Kun were to back off at the beginning of the battle, everybody would lose respect for him. If he were to block it, he would be giving Han Fei an opportunity to launch heavier attacks. Therefore, Hu Kun chose to fight back. He did not think that his power would be overwhelmed by a guy who was enhanced by external help. Clang. Hu Kun's face changed greatly in the wake of those ear-splitting noises, and his iron rod was bent. His arms were numb and probably broken. Then, he couldn't feel anything anymore. Hu Kun was blown back. He failed to survive one attack from Han Fei although he was at the peak of level 6. He did not even have a chance to moan. Ack! Everybody gasped hard. Lu Lingzi, who had been eager to try, was frozen. She was shocked by Han Fei's growth. Mr. Yang was also dumbfounded. How could he have defeated Hu Kun in one move when they were both level 6? That was too horrifying. He Xiao Yu was also slightly dazed. It was she who taught Han Fei sweeping stick, but Han Fei was obviously as good at it as she was. Also, she believed that she was only on par with Hu Kun, but Han Fei had defeated him in one move. Everybody was full of questions. Who could tell that Han Fei had been regarded as garbage for 4 years? Clicking his tongue, Han Fei said, "I asked you not to be hasty. Why were you so enthusiastic?" Then, Han Fei declared proudly, "It seems that I'm invincible in level 6. Where are the level 7 fishermen in your class?" Immediately, a young man with a blue rod walked out of the crowd. He Xiao Yu said, "He's Xing Chu. He's very good. His rod was collected from a blue wood from the bottom of the ocean. He ranks in the top 20 among the level 7s in our school. He's regularly given 4 bowls of swallowed spirit soup." Han Fei immediately beamed with jealousy when he learned that Xingqiu had 4 bowls of soup regularly. That benefit was too generous. Han Fei nodded his head and said, "Since you are in level 7 and I'm in level 6, you need to give me 4 bowls of swallowed spirit soup if you lose." Xingqiu sneered, "I have plenty of soup. I wasn't here last time, but you've come again after I'm back. You really think that nobody in Class 1 can defeat you?" Han Fei was not intimidated, but He Xiaoyu suddenly pulled Han Fei's rod. "Give me my rod." Han Fei. He turned his head to He Xiaoyu. "This is not decent. Even though he's a level 7 fisher, I wouldn't lose." Han Fei said, "Let go. This is embarrassing. It's just a rod." He Xiaoyu said, "No, I won't. You can lose your own rod." Han Fei said, "Let go. Do you still want the swallowed spirit soup?" He Xiaoyu said, "I do. I'll have it when you can't have it anymore." Everybody was speechless. You will have it when he can't have it anymore. Do you really think he can beat a whole grade? Do you know how many level 7 experts are out there in a grade? Xingqiu blushed furiously. "Hey, are we going to do this or not? The bamboo rod is too precious for you." Han Fei was rather embarrassed. He did not know what to say about He Xiaoyu, who always grew petty at the critical moment. He could only release the rod and say, "Fine. It seems that I have to bring out my own weapon now." Everybody was grim. "Can you not be so cocky? It's just an iron rod." Xingqiu said, "Do you think anyone is interested in your ragged rod?" Han Fei stabbed the rod into the ground and said, "What do you know? My brother gave this to me. It's a super iron rod, the iron rod of iron rods." Nobody was convinced. "Who are you fooling? A super iron rod? It's just a regular iron rod." Han Fei said, "You dare not try. Are you really a level 7? I'm always a man of my word. Besides, my brother is behind me. Are you worried that I can't pay if I lose?" Xingqiu said, "That's what I've been waiting for. Bring it on. You can't surrender now even if you want to." Chapter 34. My internal organs are shaking. Everybody stared at them. According to common sense, the battle between a level 7 and a level 6 did not have any suspense. However, Han Fei was not anything common. Since he defeated Hu Kun in one move, it was indeed possible that he could fight a level 7. Under everyone's watch, they began their fight. Han Fei jumped and smashed, because he did not know any other battle techniques. Xingqiu sniffed. His spiritual energy surged out. He was ready to knock Han Fei down in one attack. Han Fei thought differently. He couldn't catch too much attention. Level 7 was already the peak at the school. If he took Xingqiu down like how he took Brother Gang down just now, something terrible would happen. Clang. Han Fei changed his expression and pretended to step back. "You are good. Is this the strength of level 7? Impressive." Xingqiu looked proud and confident, feeling good that he taught Han Fei a lesson. But deep in his heart, he was shocked at Han Fei's power. His hands were almost numb. Clang, clang, clang. Damn it, level 7 is truly magnificent. He Xiaoyu, I don't think I can win this time. Hey, are your hands not numb? You're bleeding. Han Fei mumbled as they clashed 5 times. At first, the audience thought that Han Fei had indeed felt the domination of level 7. However, they soon realized that Xingqiu was not any better. His hands were cracked, and his face was becoming paler and paler. Even his rod was shaking. Clang. Xingqiu was flung away. His rod remained straight, but his arms were slightly broken. He almost fell over. Han Fei said, "Sheesh. The level 7 experts are truly unstoppable. My hands are shaking." As he spoke, Han Fei shook his hands. Everybody was speechless. "Do you think we can't tell that you're pretending?" Mr. Yang seemed calm but was greatly shocked. How had Han Fei grown so strong? Not only had he defeated someone of a higher level, but he did not even suffer any injury. Everybody fell quiet. Someone smacked their head. "Am I in a dream? Is this really Han Fei?" He Xiaoyu opened her mouth, her eyes full of disbelief. Why did she not know that Han Fei was so good in the past 4 years? Han Fei hurried to drop a hint at He Xiaoyu. However, He Xiaoyu did not really get it. Staggering to He Xiaoyu, Han Fei cried and fell on He Xiaoyu. Han Fei said, "Hey, although I won the battle, I seem to have suffered heavy wounds. Then, Han Fei felt that something was not right. He had touched a certain part. Huh, so soft. Ha, He Xiao Yu blushed in fury. You're shameless. Han Fei was stunned. Why are you slapping me when I'm already heavily wounded? My internal organs are shaking. I want my swallowed spirit soup. Everyone rolled their eyes. Can your acting skills be any worse? You want soup when you're dying. Mr. Yang tried to calm himself down. I'm not going to be infuriated by a boy. Calm down. Who? Mr. Yang bellowed. All right, end of this battle. Han Fei, come with me. Han Fei said, Sir, I need to have the soup, or my internal organs can't be soothed. Bam! Han Fei was kicked more than 10 meters away, but he jumped up and immediately tried to flee. Mr. Yang shouted, Stop there. You can claim the soup in the cafeteria later. Come with me. He Xiao Yu, you will come too. The rest of you, send Hu Kun and Xing Chu to the medical room. Wang Jia was staring at a bottle of valuable body conditioning fluid, when he saw his colleague lead 2 of his students to him with a grim face. Wang Jia asked, Mr. Yang, what's up? Mr. Yang said, Mr. Wang, your student hid his abilities quite well. Han Fei knocked out a peak level 6 in one attack and defeated a level 7 with only a few hits. Do you know about this? Wang Jia was stunned. What did you say? He knocked out a peak level 6 in one attack and defeated a level 7 with only a few hits. Han Fei said in a hurry, Mr. Wang, my internal organs are shaking, too. Mr. Yang said, Shut up. You did not even tremble. You think I didn't notice? Looking at Han Fei thoughtfully, Wang Jia turned to He Xiao Yu and asked, Xiao Yu, tell me. What was your plan this time? Blushing hard, He Xiao Yu failed to come up with anything for a long time. In the end, Mr. Yang grinned and said, Your student was addicted to swindling other people of their soup. I caught him right when he tried to do it again. Since he's your student, it's not my place to discipline him. Right, I think few students in our school except Tang Jie can defeat him now. Let him hoax elsewhere. Han Fei secretly complained. Who could have known that a level 7 was so weak? Brother Gang had resisted him for quite a while. After Mr. Yang left, Wang Jia finally looked at Han Fei weirdly. What exactly did Tang Jie give you that made you advance so fast? At the edge of a level 2 fishery, on a white extravagant boat, Tang Jie sneezed and frowned. Is my brother being bullied by someone? I have indeed been away for too long this time, but what can I do since this sir wouldn't let me go? He decided to find a way to go back in a couple of days. He did not want to see Han Fei bullied by other people. Fang Zi was holding a fishing pole next to him. On the fishing pole was a 3-headed snake. He said to Tang Jie with a smile, This is a 3-headed sea snake. It won't die even if its heads are cut from its body, and the heads will be regrown a while later. Its gallbladders are the best tonics. Here, take them. You will reach level 9 after you take them. Wang Jia thought that Tang Jie was behind everything. Han Fei only had a level 1 spiritual heritage. However talented he was, how could he become a level 7 fisher from a level 2 one after half a month? If he had such talent, he would be distinguished even in the town. Wang Jia said thoughtfully, You may feel good if your cultivation is excessively improved with external help, but it will be more difficult for you to advance in the future. However marvelous the spiritual fruit is, it's a medication and should not be taken randomly. You must not advance too quickly, or your foundation may be ruined. Han Fei said, All right. Sir, I'll listen to you. Wang Jia did not feel comfortable to see the loser of his class growing into a top expert among his peers. He waved his hands and said, Go now. Stop dueling with other people. You will be given 2 bowls of swallowed spirit soup in the future. Han Fei nodded his head. He suddenly asked, Sir, I'm told that there are more experts in other campuses of our school. Wang Jia's eyelids shivered. They're nothing good. They're in level 7 at best. Do not do anything outrageous. Han Fei said, Got it, sir. I won't do anything outrageous. Then, Han Fei intended to leave. He Xiao Yu followed him. Wang Jia said, Wait. Han Fei turned around. Is there anything else, sir? Wang Jia said, You'd better watch what you're doing. You're too little to be together. I won't stop Mr. He if he hits you someday. He Xiao Yu suddenly blushed. Who's together with him? I'm only following him to drink soup. He Xiao Yu said, Sir, there is no such thing. He Xiao Yu and I are pure friends, as pure as the meat of the little white fish. Wang Jia said, Get out of here. Han Fei hurried to go. It seemed that he couldn't trick the students of his own campus anymore. The teachers could all recognize him. He Xiao Yu said, He Xiao Yu, we'll go to the southern campus after we have soup in the cafeteria. I'm sure we can get 50 bowls of swallowed spirit soup there. We also need to buy a big calabash, which can contain the soup when we are full. However, you must lend your bamboo rod to me. I cannot use my super iron rod easily. Han Fei talked for a long time, but when he looked back, he found He Xiao Yu walking angrily without looking at him. Han Fei said, What's up? Don't be upset. We're pure friends, as pure as the clouds in the sky. He Xiao Yu turned back abruptly. Am I not pretty? I have too many pursuers. I'm not interested in you at all. Well, Han Fei rubbed his head. What's going on? Are we talking about the same thing? How can I like a 12-year-old girl? I'm almost 30 years old. Chapter 35. Boss of the Eastern Campus. The news that Han Fei crushed Xingqiu spread throughout the school quickly. Nobody believed it at first, but someone from Class 1 confirmed it, making people despise and envy Han Fei. After he woke up, Hu Kun felt that the world had collapsed. He was crushed by one attack. He gnashed his teeth. Damn it, it's all because of Tang Jie. Don't laugh too soon, Han Fei. In the school, someone murmured when they saw Han Fei, you might not have surpassed level 3 if it weren't for Tang Jie. Someone whispered, Look, that's Han Fei. He's unbelievably lucky. We can't bully him again. Some girls scorned him when they walked past Han Fei. Counting on other people is not an ability at all. Han Fei was rather gloomy. Their level was even lower than his, and yet they looked down on him. In the cafeteria, 7 bowls of swallowed spirit soup were placed before He Xiao Yu, and 2 before He Xiao Yu. Han Fei said, Finish them. We'll set off after that. Gouda, Gouda. He Xiao Yu had only 2 bowls of soup. She was rather angry to see that Han Fei had already had 3 bowls. She was drinking her own quota, not something swindled out of other people. Han Fei glanced at her and pushed a bowl toward her. Have some more, so that you'll be stronger. He Xiao Yu said, It's no use to drink so much. I can't absorb it that fast. Han Fei said, Why do you care about that? It can't harm you anyway. Drink it first. He Xiao Yu thought for a moment and realized that it did make sense. After the drink last time, she nearly broke the obstacles of level 7 in her cultivation. Maybe Han Fei was right about having as much of the soup as possible. There were plenty of students in the cafeteria, but nobody was around Han Fei and He Xiao Yu. They all looked at them in shock. Was the swallowed spirit soup as cheap as water to them? Wah! Han Fei and He Xiao Yu rose. They looked at each other and walked out of the cafeteria. His spiritual energy surpassed 1,000 points again. Han Fei was very confident. Han Fei and He Xiao Yu stood at the gate of the southern campus, each with a rod before them. He Xiao Yu also carried a huge calabash. The most outrageous thing was the plate before Han Fei's chest that said, Han Fei, boss of the eastern campus, is here to duel with the students of the southern campus. Whoever defeats me will be given a bamboo rod. Note: the losers have to provide 2 bowls of swallowed spirit soup. The level 7 experts need to provide 4. Those below level 6 can leave me alone. Immediately, the southern campus was enraged. Many students looked at them furiously. The 2 of them were cocky enough to challenge the whole southern campus. Someone scolded, You're Han Fei. What makes you think you can swagger around here? Someone hefted an iron rod and shouted, I'll let you know the color of your blood. Someone cursed, Those who don't know you might think that you're Tang Jie. Who's Han Fei? Never heard of you before. You will crawl home later. Let me. A level 6 guy approached with an iron rod. I am Li Fanglai, a level 6 fisher. Do you dare to duel with me? Someone whispered. Li Fanglai's spiritual heritage was measured to be level 2, high quality. He's a heavenly talent who will go to the town. He can't lose. That's right. His opponent feels like a level 6 to me, too. They are on par with each other. Hee hee. Li Fanglai, knock him down as quickly as possible for the southern campus. Li Fanglai raised the iron rod and bellowed, I'll crush you. Han Fei waved his hand. Wait a moment. Li Fanglai stiffened. What are you doing? Are you scared? You can't get away with this unless you kneel and admit you're wrong. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, you haven't brought me your swallowed spirit soup yet. What if you don't give it to me after you fail? Li Fanglai flushed with fury. You think I can't afford 2 bowls of swallowed spirit soup? Han Fei said, I'm not saying that you can't, but it's hard to tell from your appearance. Li Fanglai was infuriated that the guy showed no respect for him. Do you think you are a sure winner? Li Fanglai, maddened, simply attacked. Clang. Han Fei blocked the attack easily and shouted, what are you waiting for? Fetch the soup already. You won't run when your champion fails, will you? The onlookers were angry. Who cares about 2 bowls of soup? You think you're going to win? You're too cocky. If I had fought you, I would have beat the crap out of you. The 2 of them fought for several minutes. Han Fei breathed heavily. Li Fanglai discovered, to his surprise, that the guy was too strong. He used his full strength but could not crush his opponent. Damn it, he definitely could have crushed the guy if he were at the peak of level 6. He Xiaoyu looked at the sky. She felt that Han Fei was committing fraud. His acting was quite vivid, but he couldn't have used more than 30 points of spiritual energy. Clang. Han Fei slashed hard and tossed Li Fanglai to the ground. Li Fanglai's face flushed. It was truly frustrating. He had run out of spiritual energy, but why was this guy still fine? Many people were rendered speechless. Someone squinted. The guy should be stronger than Li Fanglai, but Li Fanglai consumed a lot of his spiritual energy. He will be crushed by another level 6. Immediately, another person jumped out and declared, I'm Jia Tong from class 7. I'll let you rest for a moment in case you claim that I'm taking advantage of you. Han Fei was lost for words. Would resting for a moment make any difference? For fishers to regain their spiritual energy, they had to train themselves for half a day. Han Fei waved his hand and said, wait a moment. Not that I'm dawdling, but where is the swallowed spirit soup? I won't fight you until the soup is delivered. I'm worried that you won't give it to me. You think that we have no honor? Jia Tong was beyond angry. Being suspected was even more humiliating than being provoked. Jia Tong said, someone fetch the swallowed spirit soup already. Han Fei said, that's unnecessary. I have a better idea. Let's duel before your cafeteria. It's more convenient. Phew, everyone almost vomited blood. How many people do you think you can defeat? I hope that your brain is not filled with the swallowed spirit soup. He Xiaoyu couldn't help but step back. She said to herself, I'm only here to help him drink the soup that he can't finish, but I'm not familiar with this guy. He Xiaoyu went even further. Why, you don't have the courage for that. I was told that there were many experts in the southern campus, but it's not true at all. He Xiaoyu, let's go to the northern campus. Jia Tong snapped, how dare you? Come to the cafeteria if you dare. Han Fei said, if I dare, I can make you go bankrupt. Han Fei strutted in with the bamboo rod while everybody glared at him furiously. He Xiaoyu took a deep breath. I won't be beaten up, will I? I'm not involved in this. They probably won't beat me. I'm a girl. Han Fei finally saw the 2 bowls of soup that Li Fanglai lost. He immediately shouted, He Xiaoyu, collect the soup. He Xiaoyu blushed, feeling guilty as if she were stealing a kid's toys. But it was swallowed spirit soup. She used to be given 2 bowls of them every 5 days, but she had earned 2 bowls so easily. Jia Tong said, can you fight now? Han Fei said, of course, the southern campus is truly generous. Come on, let's fight. Jia Tong attacked the moment Han Fei nodded. Spiritual energy surged out of his rod crazily. Han Fei shouted, that's a good one. As expected of the genius of the southern campus. Nice. Take another one from me. Good one. After a couple of collisions, Jia Tong blushed. How much spiritual energy did this guy have? Why was it never exhausted? Han Fei, on the other hand, pretended to breathe heavily, while he actually controlled the output of his spiritual energy. After all, his body was so sturdy now that he could block Jia Tong's attacks with half of the energy his enemy used. So, he felt that he could crush a couple of them in a row. Bam! In his carelessness, Jia Tong was hit by Han Fei and flung 3 meters away. His hands were shaking. Many people stopped jeering. The guy truly had something behind his boldness. He had defeated 2 level 6 experts consecutively. Han Fei merely shouted, "He Xiao Yu, collect the soup." Chapter 36. Spiritual Energy Explosion. Han Fei looked around magnificently and asked, "Who's next?" People whispered to each other. A student at the peak of level 5 assumed that Han Fei was exhausted, and that he could give the guy a final blow and win the bamboo rod over. However, Han Fei said in disdain the moment he stood out, "You're too weak for me. Go away." The student wouldn't give in. "I have swallowed spirit soup, too. I would like to challenge you." Han Fei's eyes glittered. "It's fine as long as you get the soup. Come on. You will be the winner if you can force me to take 1 step back." The student was delighted. "I'll hold you to that." Then, he shouted and charged forward with the iron rod. Han Fei could easily tell that he concentrated most of his spiritual energy on the iron rod. Clang! Han Fei bent and nearly stepped back, but he was a level 6 after all. After a collision, the level 6 student dropped on the ground. Han Fei said, "I told you to go away. He Xiao Yu, collect the soup." However, some of the clever students, thinking that Han Fei almost stepped back just now, shouted, "Let me. It's my turn." "No, it's mine." Several minutes later, no level 5 fishers challenged him anymore. They wondered how Han Fei blocked them at the last moment and knocked them down with 1 attack when he was almost stepping back every time. He Xiao Yu simply poured the swallowed spirit soup into the calabash and thought, "I'm just here to help process the soup. I'm just here to help process the soup." Soon, more and more people came to the cafeteria. Picking up He Xiao Yu's calabash, Han Fei drank it now and then and said, "Who's next?" "Everyone is welcome." Nobody responded to him. Han Fei shouted again, "Are there no capable warriors in the southern campus at all? Where are your level 6 and level 7 experts? Get out of the way." The crowd divided, and a couple of teenagers walked over confidently. Someone was relieved. "They're finally here." Someone grew confident. "The southern campus will be mocked if they do not come." Someone said, "Han Fei is dead for sure. How can he expect to resist them? As long as he is not given time to rest, it remains to be seen whether or not he can survive 2 of them. He has fought for so long anyway. Who's asking for trouble in the southern campus?" The man stared at Han Fei maliciously as he spoke. Han Fei said, "I am Han Fei, boss of the eastern campus. I have never been defeated in my entire life. I'm here to be defeated." He Xiao Yu rolled her eyes. "You've never been defeated. You were just a level 2 fisher before. Nobody dared to fight you because they were scared that they would accidentally kill you." Han Fei, however, held his head high, too busy feeling good about himself to care about that. "You've never been defeated. You're even stronger than Tang Jie." Han Fei was not bothered. "Tang Jie is my brother. We've never fought. I'm here just to be defeated." One of the newcomers mocked, "You've fought many battles. You must be out of spiritual energy. Are you sure you want this?" Han Fei said, "I'm a quick absorber. My spiritual energy is infinite." Everybody rolled their eyes. They had never seen anyone as shameless. "Infinite spiritual energy. You think you are the sea god?" Someone hefted their iron rod and shouted, "I'll fight you if you want to fight. Don't surrender if you have balls." Han Fei said, "You'd better confirm that your balls are still there first." Everybody was infuriated. "Kill him. Crush him. He's not getting out of here on his own 2 feet. Waving the bamboo rod, Han Fei said lazily, "Bite me. I'll go first." Someone couldn't hold back anymore and decided to check Han Fei's strength. However, Han Fei merely leapt and struck 3 times, blowing the guy away and bending his iron rod. "Tch, shoot, is this guy made of iron? Why is he still so strong?" Han Fei said with a smile, "Next." Wait a moment. Han Fei's domination was disrupted by a middle-aged man with 2 students. "Mr. Zhou Ding looked awful. He was not convinced when someone told him that a stranger was challenging the whole school, but he believed it now. The little girl's calabash was apparently full of swallowed spirit soup. Zhou Ding eyed Han Fei. The guy was indeed a level 6, not a level 7. Zhou Ding pointed at one of his students and said, Chen Kai, you're up. The guy named Chen Kai was also carrying a bamboo rod. He seemed much stronger than the other level 6s. Chen Kai said, I'm Chen Kai. I will challenge you. Han Fei narrowed his eyes and grew solemn. Spiritual energy burst out of his bamboo rod. Han Fei stopped panting and shivering. Watching the incoming stick, he simply lifted his own rod against it. Clang! Many students below level 5 stepped back under the brunt of the attack. Han Fei was slightly stunned. The guy was rather strong. He did not know the technique, but there was a hidden force behind the attack. He almost stepped back under the dual forces. You're good. Han Fei's eyes glittered, but Chen Kai's face changed greatly. The attack that he launched with 80% of his strength did not shake the guy at all. Zhou Ding was also surprised. Chen Kai's spiritual heritage was level 3, high quality. He was almost the strongest level 6 in the southern campus. However, he did not have any advantage in the battle. Han Fei shouted, sweep. Clang. Chen Kai became pale after the collision. He slid dozens of meters away, his hands shaking. How could the attack have been so powerful? Slash. Chen Kai seemed rather anxious. He stomped on the ground, and his bamboo rod glowed. Spiritual energy explosion. Han Fei immediately stepped back before the enormous power. Thankfully, his previous slash blocked the blast, or he might have failed. He Xiaoyu said in a hurry, this is spiritual energy explosion. It's very powerful. Even the level 7s have to avoid it. Han Fei shook his arm and his head. It's quite tough. I can gather the spiritual energy, but how can I detonate it? How is it possible? He took the hit of the spiritual energy explosion. Is he made of iron? Why is he so tough? Zhou Ding was surprised. The young man was not simple. Taking the hit of the spiritual energy explosion without being hurt was a sign of his sturdiness. To everyone's surprise, the spiritual energy at the tip of Han Fei's rod was more and more brilliant. Han Fei declared, spiritual energy explosion. Zhou Ding took action. He snatched Han Fei's spiritual energy, but the next second, his hand was blown away by the enormous spiritual energy. Break. The cluster of spiritual energy crumbled. Han Fei was forced to take quite a few steps back under the waves. Han Fei's eyes glowed. It was truly impressive. He didn't know how to detonate it. If it weren't for this teacher, there would have been nothing he could do. Zhou Ding was rather embarrassed. He almost failed to break the spiritual energy explosion of a level 6 student. Narrowing his eyes, Zhou Ding said, you have the combat ability of a level 8 fisher, and you are brazen enough to trick my students for their swallowed spirit soup. Get lost. TCH. All the students exclaimed in shock. The combat ability of a level 8 fisher. That was one tough student. Someone was suspicious. Is he Tang Jie? Who else in the eastern campus is as strong? Jerk. You pretend to be a level 6 when you are a level 8. Give us our soup. That's right. Give us our soup, Han Fei. Han Fei said, what are you talking about? I'm obviously a level 6. I didn't tell you my natural-born strength because I like to keep a low profile. Han Fei looked at Zhou Ding and smiled in embarrassment. Mr. Zhou, I was actually here to seek breakthroughs, and I understood a lot after sensing the power of the spiritual energy explosion. I'll take my leave. Zhou Ding grabbed Han Fei. Where are you going? Han Fei screamed, Sir, I'm truly a level 6. You can check me. Ignoring what he said, Zhou Ding picked him up and left. Han Fei shouted while he was hanging in midair, He Xiaoyu, follow me. The students were left astounded at the cafeteria of the southern campus. Some of them murmured, a level 8. A level 6 that is as strong as a level 8. Is he really a heavenly talent? Chapter 37. Tricking a Girl. Zhou Ding carried Han Fei to an empty cultivation ground and asked him, what's with your spiritual energy? Why is it never exhausted? Han Fei admitted frankly, Sir, I'm a quick absorber. My spiritual energy is refilled immediately after I drink the soup. Zhou Ding snapped, that's bullshit. I've never heard of such a thing before. Han Fei, rolling his eyes, said, Mr. Zhou, it's true. My master, Wang Jia, knows that. You can ask He Xiaoyu about it. Her father is a teacher in the eastern campus. Zhou Ding looked at He Xiaoyu and her bamboo rod. Frowning, he asked, is He Mingtang your father? He Xiaoyu nodded quickly, hoping that the teacher wouldn't tell her father what happened today. Zhou Ding asked, "What's the real level of your spiritual heritage?" Han Fei said, "It's level 2, low quality." Zhou Ding said, "That's bullshit. He Tang's daughter, you tell me." He Xiaoyu was also stunned. She remembered that Han Fei's spiritual heritage was level 1, high quality. Why was it level 2 now? Did Tang Jie find any marvelous medicines for Han Fei? It was said that spiritual heritage was fixed the moment one was born. Han Fei's spiritual heritage must have improved only because of certain top spiritual fruits. He Xiaoyu nodded enviously, wishing that she had a spiritual fruit, too. Zhou Ding frowned even harder. Even if your body is extraordinary, your spiritual energy explosion is still subpar. Do you want to live a peaceful life after pissing off so many people today? Besides, it's not good to count on your special physical qualities. What if you lose your infinite spiritual energy and cannot cast the unbelievable spiritual energy explosion? Han Fei nodded quickly. You're right, Mr. Zhou. We'll be on our way. Get lost. Zhou Ding took a deep breath after Han Fei and He Xiaoyu left. Such a body was truly appalling. It was a pity that Han Fei's future achievements were limited by his spiritual heritage. He couldn't be better than a grand fishing master however lucky he was. Han Fei and He Xiaoyu left the campus gloomily. The moment they got out of the gate, they ran crazily. Han Fei asked, "Are we going to the northern campus and the southern campus?" He Xiaoyu shook her head while running. "No, we're lucky to only have been kicked out. We might not be so lucky next time." Han Fei realized that it did make sense. They seemed too cocky in other people's territory. Remembering the calabash of swallowed spirit soup, Han Fei asked, "How much soup do we have?" He Xiaoyu replied, 29 bowls in total. Han Fei was surprised. Only 29 bowls. I felt that I beat plenty of them. He Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. You beat plenty of them. It's more like you tricked plenty of them. Only the last battle was real, and he learned spiritual energy explosion from it. However, He Xiaoyu did not intend to tell Han Fei anything. Her father told her not to consider the technique until she was above level 7. In a corner, Han Fei and He Xiaoyu split the soup. Han Fei got 20 bowls of it. He was the one doing the fights anyway. However, since Zhou Ding let go of them easily probably for He Xiaoyu's father's sake, Han Fei gave more soup to He Xiaoyu. Halfway through it, Han Fei was full. He took a rest and asked, "He Xiaoyu, what's spiritual energy explosion? I felt that it was beyond my control just now. If Mr. Zhou hadn't taken action, there might have been dire consequences." He Xiaoyu asked, "How much spiritual energy did you just gather?" Han Fei said, 70 or 80. Phew. He Xiaoyu spat out the soup and looked at Han Fei in shock. How much? Seeing He Xiaoyu's reaction, Han Fei scratched his head awkwardly. Is it too much? He Xiaoyu eyed Han Fei as if he were a lunatic. You're only a level 6. How much spiritual energy can you possibly have? Isn't it crazy to concentrate half of your spiritual energy for a battle? He Xiaoyu asked, "Did you know how much spiritual energy Chen Kai used just now?" Han Fei asked, "How much?" He Xiaoyu said, "No more than 25 points." Han Fei was dumbfounded. Are you serious? 25 points are already so powerful. Then, wouldn't 80 points have blown my enemy up instantly? He Xiaoyu said, "Although it appeared that you picked up spiritual energy explosion, you couldn't control it at all, so you could have only overwhelmed your enemy with spiritual energy even if you launched the attack." Han Fei grew interested. How can I control it? Teach me for the 9 bowls of soup one gave you. He Xiaoyu said, "Why don't you wait until level 7? Spiritual energy explosion is barely useful at level 6. My father said that the spiritual energy is not sufficient and pure in level 6, and that after level 7, fishers would gain control over their spiritual energy. This skill won't be practical until then." Han Fei commented, It has such a high requirement." He recalled Chen Kai's performance just now. The man almost knocked him out with one attack. It was a major shock for him. Han Fei suddenly said, "That doesn't sound right. I defeated level 7s before. You witnessed it. That guy from class 1 did not burst out his spiritual energy." He Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. How can you cast spiritual energy explosion on your classmate? If he lost control of it during the attack, you might have been killed. Han Fei suddenly said to He Xiaoyu, someone tried to murder me. He Xiaoyu. Han Fei said, I suspect that someone tried to murder me. I was at sea for 5 days because my boat was damaged. He told the whole story and gazed at He Xiaoyu. Why don't you teach me the technique? I'll give you the rest of the swallowed spirit soup. He Xiaoyu was rendered speechless by the reluctance on Han Fei's face. You earned the swallowed spirit soup for nothing, and you want to exchange it for a technique. She said, I'm incapable of it. My father didn't teach me. Han Fei remarked, why did your father teach you nothing? Are you sure that you are his daughter? He Xiaoyu immediately poked Han Fei with the bamboo rod. Of course I'm his daughter. You don't believe me. Han Fei shouted, ouch, 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 stop. Han Fei, angry that the girl was too meek, scolded He Xiaoyu and gave He Xiaoyu quite a shock. Han Fei said, just because your father didn't teach you doesn't mean that you can't learn. Do you not want to be an expert? If you have access to it, I can give you a treasure for it. Han Fei thought that He Xiaoyu would ask him what the treasure was. However, He Xiaoyu simply pouted her lips and said, you yelled at me. You're mean. Han Fei, realizing that the situation wouldn't get any better soon, he simply focused on the swallowed spirit soup. He Xiaoyu murmured, you yelled at me. You want me to steal things. You don't believe what my father said. Why are you so mean? Han Fei couldn't drink the soup anymore. He took out a bottle and said, let's make an exchange. He Xiaoyu's anger immediately changed. Her eyes wide, she asked, this is, the iron fish body polishing fluid. He Xiaoyu gasped. The iron fish body polishing fluid was made of the brains of the iron head fish. It was said that dozens of mature iron head fish were needed to make a small bottle of such fluid. He Xiaoyu reached her hand out for it. Han Fei hurried to withdraw his hand. About spiritual energy explosion. He Xiaoyu sniffed and glared at Han Fei, before she said, I'm truly incapable of it, but in fact, spiritual energy explosion is all about your control over your own spiritual energy. If you can control it well, spiritual energy explosion will be simple. Han Fei asked, how can I control it? He Xiaoyu said, I don't know much about it. You have to use spiritual energy more often, like in fishing. 1 bottle of iron fish body polishing fluid is far from enough for you to get the knowledge of spiritual energy explosion. Besides, you have only half a bottle. Han Fei was tempted. While the iron fish body polishing fluid was also a treasure, it couldn't compare to spiritual energy explosion. He must have the technique that could save his life. Han Fei said seductively, He Xiaoyu, aren't we good friends? He Xiaoyu said warily, no, we are not. Han Fei said, if we are not, why are you here to challenge them with me? If your father learns of that, tisk, tisk, tisk. He Xiaoyu said, I'm just passing by. Fine, what do you want? Han Fei said, what about a copy of the notes on the control of spiritual energy? I'll definitely share with you if I find good stuff. No, Han Fei proposed, He Xiaoyu, the fishing trial is going to start soon, and it doesn't matter who your father is in the test. Why don't I give you a spirit refilling pill? You have a spirit refilling pill. He Xiaoyu exclaimed in shock. Han Fei asked, how does that sound? He Xiaoyu hesitated, but Han Fei said, all right, I know what you mean. I'll give you 2. He Xiaoyu said, no, my father. Han Fei said, 3, and that's my best offer. You must know that a spirit refilling pill is worth 2 mid-quality pearls. Chapter 38. The detention room is blown up. He Xiaoyu finally agreed. Han Fei had discovered that the girl's shortcoming was greediness, which was probably because her father raised her too strictly. As a result, the girl always craved good things. At this moment, He Mingtang was teaching a class in school. The two of them went to He Xiaoyu's house stealthily and left in a hurry an hour later. Guiltily, He Xiaoyu presented a small book. This is the only one I found. Go now, I'll be screwed if my mother finds out about this. Han Fei said with a smile, good girl. I'll give you more swallowed spirit soup in the future. Both of them stopped at the gate of the school. He Xiaoyu got 3 spirit refilling pills, and Han Fei got the way to utilize spiritual energy. Both of them felt that it was a great deal. He Xiaoyu. Suddenly, someone yelled from behind the gate. Ah, father. Enraged, He Mingtang looked at his unworthy daughter and then glared at Han Fei furiously. Han Fei wasn't any better. His smile froze when he saw the unfriendly Wang Jia and the teacher from the southern campus behind him. He changed his face and shouted at He Xiaoyu, "Run!" Wang Jia was amused. "It's too late for you to run now." He cast his hook at Han Fei rapidly. Sensing the attack at his back, Han Fei twisted his body subconsciously and dodged the hook in a weird posture. "Huh!" The 3 fishing masters including He Mingtang all exclaimed in shock. A level 6 fisher had avoided Wang Jia's hook. It must be noted that Wang Jia was appointed as a supervisor of the general fishery for his remarkable capability. However, his attack had been avoided. Wang Jia felt embarrassed. His fishing line glittered, and the hook darted at Han Fei even faster than before. Han Fei sweated hard. "I did nothing more than get a few bowls of soup with trickery. Do you need to welcome me with this?" While thinking about that, he flipped and evaded the hook again narrowly. Wang Jia immediately blushed. He was shocked at how swift Han Fei was. "Huh." Zhou Ding was surprised. "Old Wang, your student is interesting. He may be able to make it to the top 100 in the fishing trial, no?" Wang Jia sniffed. Top 100. I just hope that he's not the last place." This time, Wang Jia did not hold himself back. The speed of the hook was doubled. Although Han Fei's one leg dodged the first attack, the hook zigzagged and tied up his other leg. As the fishing line was retreated, Han Fei was hauled into the campus, catching everyone's attention. Wang Jia said, "You think you're strong enough to do whatever you want now, don't you?" He Xiaoyu was rather intimidated to see that, feeling lucky that she did not run. It would be most embarrassing if she were also dragged like this. Han Fei, on the other hand, screamed, "Sir, I did nothing wrong. I only went to the southern campus to share knowledge with the students there." Wang Jia smiled at Zhou Ding. "Mr. Zhou Ding, thank you for dropping by. I'll teach him a good lesson." Zhou Ding laughed. "I don't think that's necessary. This is a good kid to me. Do you want to send him to study in the southern campus for a while?" Wang Jia said, "With the fishing trial coming near, we are going to concentrate the students and train them. I don't think there's time for that." Zhou Ding smiled and said, "All right, I'll take my leave." Wang Jia said, "See you, Mr. Zhou." After Zhou Ding left, Wang Jia changed his face and sneered at Han Fei. "You're good. You show your abilities at the southern campus. You think that you are as invincible as a level 8 fisher." Han Fei shouted, "Sir, I didn't. Nobody knew that the southern campus is so weak." Wang Jia said with a cold smile, "Weak? Do you think you were strong in the past? Could you have been as strong if it weren't for what Tang Jie gave you? Do you know how many people were drawn to you when you showed your abilities?" Han Fei was stunned. Who would be interested in a level 6 fisher? He Mingtang went on, "Everybody knows that you improved so fast because Tang Jie gave you a lot of good stuff. They dare not challenge Tang Jie, but killing you in secret and digging out your secrets is not difficult." He Mingtang made up his mind to keep his daughter away from the brat. God knew what kind of trouble he would cause. Wang Jia said, "Do you understand now? Nobody dares to touch Tang Jie, but do you think nobody dares to touch you? You will be put in detention for 3 days. Han Fei smiled bitterly. He forgot that he had been using Tang Jie as an excuse for his rapid improvement. However, his performance had been too distinguished lately. People couldn't help but wonder what Tang Jie had offered to Han Fei. Han Fei begged, "Sir, I know I was wrong. I will never fight again." About the detention, Wang Jia sneered. 3 days, not to be shortened by 1 second. After Han Fei was hauled away by Wang Jia, He Mingtang glared at He Xiaoyu and said, "Go home. You're grounded for 5 days." He Xiaoyu said pitifully, "Father, I did not join the fight." He Mingtang said, "Go home, and you are not allowed to talk with him again until he becomes a fishing master." Pouting, He Xiaoyu said pitifully, "Okay. There was only one detention room in the school. It was mainly used to punish bad students. Most of them were only detained for 1 day. Few were detained for 3 days in a row like Han Fei. The detention room was made of hard rock. It was not an obstacle for fishing masters, but no students who were only fishers could get away from it. 3 days ago, Han Fei was dragged to the detention room like a dead dog. It was the most heated topic in the past few days. Someone was angry. Han Fei was too cocky. He was asking to be killed when he blocked the gate of the southern campus. Someone made fun of him. I'm told that he wouldn't have made it back if the teacher in the southern campus did not release him. Many people peeped into the detention room when they passed by, but it was too dark to see anything. However, Han Fei could hear the incessant laughter and mockery at the door. Zhou Xiao, Hu Kun's best friend, was shouting from a hole in the detention room. "Hey, Han Fei, you're not having a meltdown, are you?" Someone else joined him. "I don't think so, but he will certainly be less cocky in the future." Han Fei was sitting cross-legged in the detention room. His clothes were entirely wet, and his spiritual energy was running loose. He could hardly control the spiritual energy precisely even after 3 days. At this moment, Han Fei was trying to gather half of his spiritual energy in his palm. No, half is too much. Not good, it's getting out of control. Zhou Xiao and his pals outside of the detention room discussed. Do you feel that spiritual energy is surging? A little bit. Is Han Fei cultivating? Nonsense. How can such intense spiritual energy not glow? Wait, look, it's glowing. The few people outside of the detention room saw dazzling light bursting before their eyes. Bam! Zhou Xiao did not know what was going on. He only sensed that he was flying. The explosion spread throughout the school. Many people saw Zhou Xiao and his pals fly away and pass out. As for the detention room, a whole half a man tall was left. Dozens of teachers of the school arrived almost simultaneously. They checked Zhou Xiao and his pals first. Then, they released a long breath of relief and said, "Send them to the medical room." After that, they looked at the giant hole in the door of the detention room, from which uncanny noises were coming out. Then, they saw Han Fei, whose face was covered in dust and whose head was messy peeking out of the hole. Han Fei underestimated the power of spiritual energy explosion. Half of his spiritual energy was already so explosive. If he had unleashed all his spiritual energy, it shouldn't have been a problem to blow up the whole detention room. Wang Jia's eyelids twitched. The guy was not hurt at all in such a powerful explosion. Han Fei was stunned to see so many people. In the end, he waved his hand and said, "Hey, long time no see." Chapter 39. Blackmail the Tigers. In the office, Han Fei rolled his eyes, his hair as messy as a bird's nest. Solemnly, Wang Jia said, "Tell me, who taught you spiritual energy explosion?" Nobody would believe that Tang Jie left Han Fei the introduction to spiritual energy explosion because the teacher from the southern campus stated that Han Fei learned it during the fight. Han Fei said, "Master, I perceived it after cultivation in seclusion for 3 days." Wang Jia slapped Han Fei on the head. The guy was too shameless. It was supposed to be 3 days of detention, not cultivation in seclusion. That's bullshit. Spiritual energy explosion is a skill that requires proficiency. How could you have perceived it? Han Fei said, "Sir, I truly perceived it on my own. I spent the last 3 days in the detention room." Wang Jia was lost for words. It did make sense. The boy was locked up the moment he came back to school. Did he really perceive it on his own? However, He Mingtang felt that something was not right. His daughter had been avoiding him recently. Did it really have nothing to do with this? Wang Jia did not think much. He simply scolded, "Idiot, do you know why we don't teach you spiritual energy explosion until you are level 7? It's partly because your spiritual energy is not enough, partly because your veins are not sturdy enough, and partly because it requires proficiency. Spiritual energy explosion is the easiest of all techniques, but have you seen any fisher below level 7 use it?" Han Fei gnashed his teeth. "You like slapping my head. Fine, I'll slap yours when I'm stronger than you. Wait, my veins are not sturdy enough. No wonder my arm was nearly torn apart just now. Then, do I need to do nothing other than building up my veins?" Han Fei, I'm here. You're absent-minded when I'm talking to you. Han Fei gritted his teeth. Wang Jia, just wait for it. I'll definitely slap your head off later. ... Han Fei returned home for the ghost pearl, the essence of the ghost blade clam that could build up the veins. If it was as good as claimed, spiritual energy explosion wouldn't be a problem for him in the future. Han Fei grew careful after the incident last time. Fearing that someone would attack him, he kept a low profile on the way. Han Fei was hiding behind a giant tree and observing if anybody was around, when someone said behind him, "Are you Han Fei, my friend?" Han Fei was so shocked that he raised his purple bamboo rod immediately. "Don't panic, my friend. I mean you no harm." Han Fei looked at him carefully, only to discover that he was a man as brawny as a bull. There were 3 scars on his face cutting his eyes and his mouth apart, indicating that he was a dangerous person. Han Fei asked, "Who are you?" With a smile that was even more awful than crying, the brawny man said, "I am Li Ju, the leader of the tigers. My arrogant subordinates insulted you the other day, and I hope that you can forgive us. The tigers would like to give you whatever you need." Han Fei understood that they were here to apologize. The tigers must have learned his relationship with Tang Jie. That was why their leader came in person. The tigers could have killed him when his identity was still unknown, but now that they'd missed the opportunity, they had to make up for what they did. Han Fei took a breath in relief. "Leader Li, since you came to apologize in person, I'll definitely forgive you. However, Brother Gang provoked me repeatedly the other day. I hope that Leader Li can restrain him in case the reputation of the tigers is ruined." Li Ju grinned hideously and said, "Of course. You will not see them in Heavenly Water Village again, my friend." Han Fei was alarmed. "What do you mean? Are they all dead?" He had heard before that the taiga's enemies were all thrown into the ocean. He did not know that Li Ju was truly so brutal. However, Han Fei rolled his eyes and realized what was going on. A less determined man would have been too scared to demand compensation from the tigers after this. Considering that the whole thing was in the open, Han Fei sneered, "Leader Li, my brother left me dozens of bottles of iron fish body polishing fluid, but all of them went missing the day I returned." Han Fei felt that the air turned quiet, and killing intent was rising. Was Li Ju really going to kill him? Han Fei did not believe that he dared to do such a thing. Otherwise, not only would Tang Jie go after him, but the teachers at school would also ask his trouble. As he expected, Li Ju soon smiled. "Naturally. I'm sorry that I didn't discipline them well. I'll pay them back soon." Han Fei said, "The other things are basically fine, except that some of the mid-quality pearls and spirit refilling pills were missing." Li Ju was somewhat astounded and almost decided to kill him. The iron fish body polishing fluid was already precious enough, and the spirit refilling pill was a life-saving medication. How dare you ask for them? Han Fei, on the other hand, stared at Li Ju calmly and harmlessly. He did not believe that Li Ju dared to attack. Li Ju gnashed his teeth. "All right, the tigers will compensate for your loss. Have a good day, my friend." Han Fei grinned and said, "Goodbye, Leader Li." A moment later, Li Ju watched Han Fei leave and punch the tree next to him. The enormous tree was immediately broken in half. The person behind Li Ju said gloomily, "Boss, this guy is outrageous. He's extorting us. I would like..." "Shut up." Calming himself down, Li Ju said, "Wealth is nothing compared to life. Tang Jie won't stay here for long. He will leave after the soul awakening and probably won't return. Let's deal with him after that." Han Fei couldn't have felt better. The tigers were rich enough to afford dozens of bottles of iron fish body polishing fluid, which would make his cultivation with the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body conditioning much easier. The tigers were quite fast. What he demanded that morning was delivered in the afternoon. Han Fei checked the items. They included 10 bottles of iron fish body polishing fluid, 50 mid-quality pearls, and 5 spirit refilling pills. "Li Ju, damn you." Han Fei trembled in fury. "I said dozens of bottles, not 10 bottles. Also, you gave me 5 spirit refilling pills. You think I'm a beggar?" However, Han Fei had wronged Li Ju. It was not easy to get the iron fish body polishing fluid. Also, the spirit refilling pill, which was of little use to him, was a lifesaver for other people. 5 of them were already a lot. Han Fei complained, What a petty bastard. However, I'm a person who can easily be satisfied. I'll deal with them for now. Had Li Ju heard Han Fei's complaint, he probably would have killed Han Fei on the spot. In the cave, Han Fei held the ghost pearl which allegedly nurtured and expanded the veins. He swallowed it without any hesitation. A long time later, Han Fei felt nothing except that his body was slightly cold, as if he were having an intravenous drip. It was not until 2 hours later that Han Fei finally sensed that his veins were strengthened, because he saw impurities leaking out of his skin. This stuff is not as good as I expected. It seems that I have to take a handful of such pearls at the same time. Other people would have killed Han Fei if they knew what he was thinking. The medicines that could strengthen the veins were rare and precious, yet he was complaining that they were not effective enough. 3 days later, cracking noises spread out of a cave on a cliff on the floating island. A young man was lying on the ground with all his clothes wet. Nobody could possibly tell what happened just now. Phew, I've finally made it. Ha ha ha, I should be absolutely invincible at my level right now. Han Fei checked his data. Owner: Han Fei. Level: 6 intermediate fisher. Spiritual energy: 1288, 249. Spiritual heritage: Level 2, low quality upgradable. Weapon: purple bamboo rod. Main art: void fishing, Chapter 1. Hook kiss mortal level, divine quality. He had already felt that he was stuck. As he expected, his spiritual energy stopped at 249 points. He felt that he could make another breakthrough, but it required tremendous spiritual energy. His current stock did not seem enough. It seems that I have to set sail again. Chapter 40. Isn't it strawberry? Huh, I can't set sail, Xiao Qin said. Given that you met 2 fish tides and your boat was damaged, the supervisors believe that somebody might be plotting against you, so you are not allowed to go to the ocean. Also, there are only 9 days to go until your fishing trial. I suggest you focus on cultivating yourself for the time being. Han Fei asked, have you found who did it? Xiao Qin said, there is no evidence, but we have reasons to believe that the tigers are behind it. The tigers? Han Fei was not surprised at the answer. Not everyone could ruin a boat in the port without alarming other people at all. He felt that the compensation he asked from Li Ju was not enough. In that case, Sister Qin, I'll take my leave. Since he could not go to the ocean, he had no income of spiritual energy, which was intolerable to Han Fei. The market was already lively although it was still early in the morning. Suddenly, someone shouted, water. Clean rainwater here, 20 coins per kilogram. Only 500 kilograms are available. A customer negotiated. Boss, 20 C coins is too much. It rained only several days ago. Your price is too high. Someone else agreed with him. Old Qin, I'll have 10 kilograms if you sell it for 18 C coins per kilogram. However, Old Qin chuckled. You think it's expensive. It hasn't rained for half a month, and since the weather is fine, it probably won't rain again until half a month from now. Water will only be more and more precious. 20 C coins per kilogram is already my best offer. The crowd grew quiet. Soon, someone said, fine, Old Qin, give me 20 kilograms. I'll have 10. I'd like 50. Shocked, Han Fei watched the 500 kilograms of water be bought out in only 2 minutes. He did not know that one could make money so fast with water. It did make sense on second thought. The only source of water for the floating island was the rain, which was surprisingly infrequent. As a result, water was always in demand. Han Fei thought of something. There was infinite seawater in this place. Wouldn't he become rich if he could make distilled water with it? Han Fei was considering it when he passed a beggar. Wait, that's not right. Everybody on the floating island is a cultivator. Why is he begging? The beggar was wandering about with a broken bowl covered in dust. He stepped back in fear when he saw Han Fei and tried to flee. Han Fei shouted, you, stop there. The beggar cried, have some mercy. I've already been kicked out. Han Fei was stunned. Your brother gang. The beggar shook his head quickly. Xiao One gang. Please call me Xiao Gang. Han Fei. Han Fei asked, you're not dead. Li Gang's legs shivered when he heard that. Do you really want me dead? After everybody learned that Han Fei was Tang Ji's brother, he was hung on the top of a mast for 3 days in a row. He was not killed only because he had many friends in the Eastern market. However, since his heart was hurt when he was kicked out of the tigers by Li Gang, he had only 1/10 of his previous strength, and his life was quite miserable. Hugging Han Fei's leg, Li Gang cried, "Bro, please spare me. I can't die. I need to make a living for my girlfriend. If I die, someone will take her away." Han Fei was lost for words. "Who's going to kill you? I'm a kind-hearted person." Li Gang complained to himself, "You are kind-hearted. I wouldn't have ended up like this if it weren't for you." Han Fei asked, "You were kicked out by the tigers?" Li Gang nodded in fear. He couldn't afford pissing off Han Fei right now. Han Fei came up with a plan. "How about this? You will follow me in the future. I'll give you an enjoyable life." "Huh, huh." Li Gang thought that his ears deceived him. Was it a trick? Han Fei said, "Clean yourself up and find me in my home. I'm short of hands right now. I've offered you an opportunity. It depends on you whether or not you can grasp it." Li Gang was a smart gangster. Was it possible to follow Han Fei? Of course. Tang Jie was his brother, and his future clearly couldn't be too bad. However, why was Han Fei interested in him? Did Han Fei want him to collect protection fees? Thinking about how he was mugged by Han Fei twice, Li Gang felt that it was very possible. An hour later, Li Gang arrived with a pale face. It was obvious that he was badly wounded, but the dust on his face had been cleaned. When Li Gang came, Han Fei was toying with many bottles and had even moved a giant pot out. There was no telling what he was up to. Seeing that Li Gang was here, Han Fei asked, "How much strength do you have left?" Shivering, Li Gang replied, "I'm as good as a level 2 fisher." He was of a mind to kill himself. Did he want to beg? Of course not, but he would be committing suicide if he were to go fishing as a level 2 fisher. Han Fei raised his head in surprise. "Huh, you're crippled now." Li Gang replied reluctantly, Not exactly, but the pills for my recovery are too expensive. They are worth 10 mid-quality pearls." Han Fei scorned, "So, the bad guys who work for bad guys may be abandoned any moment." Then, Han Fei placed a dozen mid-quality pearls before Li Gang and said, "I can cure you, but you must not betray me, or you will suffer more than wounds. Your girlfriend will probably really be taken away." Li Gang was filled with disbelief. Were the dozen mid-quality pearls for him? Feeling warm, Li Gang burst into tears. "Boss, I'll be yours in the future. I'll do anything that you ask." Han Fei waved his hand and said, "All right, that's enough. Why don't you tell me first if there are any seasonings on our island?" "Seasonings," Han Fei said, "the things that can give food a more interesting taste, like salt." Han Fei had never had any decent food since he came to this world. There was salt, but salt alone was not enough to remove the stink of the seafood. Li Gang got it. "Oh, boss, you're talking about spices. But only the rich people can afford them." Han Fei was immediately amazed. "So the answer is yes." Li Gang said, "Yes, but ordinary people can't afford them. Most spices can only be bought with mid-quality pearls." Han Fei was a bit disappointed. It was too expensive. He had planned to open a barbecue restaurant and make distilled water. But if the seasonings were so expensive, he probably could only make barbecue for himself. "What about alcohol?" Li Gang said, "Alcohol is cheap. The fish head liquor is only worth 30 C coins per kilogram." "Boss, you want to drink?" Han Fei said, "Let's go. Show me the spices first." There was a plantation with a coverage of 1,000 acres at the south end of the floating island, next to the cliff. Han Fei was startled by the exuberant plants in the area. "I didn't know that there were farmers on this island." Li Gang scratched his head. "They are not exactly farmers. Most of them planted spiritual herbs at the beginning, but probably because the environment was too poor, the spiritual herbs all retrograded into spices. Even so, many people believe that spices are still spiritual herbs. That's why spices are still expensive." An old man was basking in the sunlight with a bottle of liquor in his arms. He showed no response when Han Fei and Li Gang walked onto the plantation. Han Fei went forward and asked, "Grandpa, we're here to buy spices. The old man glimpsed Han Fei and continued his sunbath. You can't afford them. Han Fei was gloomy. How do you know that? I have 50 mid-quality pearls left. The old man raised his hand and pointed at some wood shelves not far away. They're all there. Each of them costs 1 mid-quality pearl. Han Fei walked over curiously, only to be dumbfounded by what he saw. You call them spices. Aren't they strawberries?